A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield is best for you. First cigarette with premium quality in both regular and king size. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the burglary detail. For the past 2 months, a gang of safe burglars have been operating in your city. In that time, they've hit a dozen places. You've got no lead to their identity. Your job? Get them. Here's a report never before made about a cigarette. Smoked day after day by a group of people smoking from 10 to 40 cigarettes a day for a full year. Here's Chesterfield's record. A medical specialist giving this group thorough examinations every 2 months for a full year reports no adverse effects to their nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like that? You'll find Chesterfield's best for you. They're much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste. And for your pocketbook, Chesterfield is America's best cigarette buy.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, August 10th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Wisdom. My name's Friday. We were on the way back from lunch, and it was 1:17 p.m. when we got to room 45. Burglary.
Joe, you got any stomach pills?
No, I haven't. You got trouble again?
Yeah. I don't know why I always do when we have lunch at Sal's. Must be that cheesecake, Joe. It happens every time.
Well, maybe if you just stick to one piece, huh?
The way Rosie makes it, you can't stop there. You know, that Sal could make a fortune if he'd realize it.
What do you mean?
Well, you know how in some places they have a little bowl of mints by the cash register?
Yeah.
Well, if Sal had put a bowl of stomach pills, he could clean up.
Yeah, sure.
Anything in the book?
I'll take a look.
How about it?
Yeah. There's a call here from Ernie.
Our informant?
Yeah. Says he wants to see us this afternoon.
Say what it's about?
No, it just says to meet him at that coffee place over on 7th.
Sure hope he can come up with something we could use it.
Yeah. We've taken a lot on this one, haven't we?
Yeah. The way the papers talk, you'd think we were in with the thieves.
Now, from where they sit, it probably looks that way. We sure haven't been able to stop them.
Yeah. You hear anything more on that last run from the stats office?
Yeah, nothing. They've run the M.O. over and over. We can't make it. I saw the skipper this morning. He's sore, too.
Yeah, it figures they're leaning on him, too.
Well, there's got to be a break somewhere along the line. Their luck can't hold out forever.
Maybe they don't know that.
Did you check the FI cards from last night?
Yeah, they're doing it now. They might come up with something. How about Rubles and Toll? You heard from them yet?
No, they're running down that report from the liquor store owner. Doesn't look like it's going anywhere either.
I'll get it.
Right.
Burglary, Smith. Oh, yeah, did you find anything? Uh-huh. Where was that? Uh-huh. How do you spell that last name? S-O-N? Right. Okay, thanks. Well, we might have something.
Yeah?
Officer made a field interrogation report on an Otto Bronson last night. Time was listed as 10:46 p.m., 4th and Central.
Well, that's close.
The last heist was at 7th and Central at approximately 11 p.m.
Well, how's this Bronson fit in?
Well, they checked him out. He's got a record.
Yeah?
Burglary.
1:35 p.m. Frank and I checked the name Otto Bronson through R&I. We found that he had an arrest record dating back 10 years. He'd been picked up 3 times on suspicion of violation of Section 459 PC. He'd been convicted once and had served time at San Quentin. He'd been released 4 months before he served his full term and was not on parole. We got his last known address from his ex-convict registration, and we drove out to see him. The address listed was a rooming house on Alexandria Street. We talked to the landlady, but she could tell us nothing about him. She said that he'd moved in about 4 months before, and in that time she'd seen very little of him. He didn't eat at the house, but he took his meals outside. She was unable to tell us what time Bronson had come home the night before. He was registered in room 2B. Frank and I went up and knocked on the door.
Yeah?
You Otto Bronson?
Yeah, what about it?
Police officers, we'd like to talk to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Might be better if we talked inside, huh?
Well, maybe I don't want any cops in my place.
No, we can talk downtown.
Come on in. All right, what's it all about?
Wonder if you could tell us where you were last night.
Why?
We'd like to know.
Well, let's see, I went downtown, had dinner, met some friends, had a few drinks, and came home.
What time did you get home?
Oh, maybe about 8, around in there.
We got word you were seen downtown at 10:46. How about it?
Maybe my watch stopped.
Were you downtown?
Oh, you guys know all the answers. You tell me.
All right, mister, get your hat.
Why?
Let's go downtown.
All right. So I was there. What's that prove?
Why'd you lie about it?
I didn't lie. I told you. My watch stopped.
Yeah, according to the FI report, you were stopped on the corner of 4th and Central. Is that right?
I don't know. I guess so. Why?
What were you doing there?
I was on my way home.
From where?
Like I told you, I had a couple of drinks with some friends of mine. I came right home.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you meet these friends of yours?
Bar down in Central.
Which bar?
I don't know the address. I can show you if you got to know.
Who were the friends?
Look, I don't like any of this. You guys coming here and asking all these questions? What's it all about?
A liquor store safe was burglarized near 7th and Central last night. You look good for the job.
Oh, it's sure true.
What's that?
Old saying up at the joint. Do a little time, and you'll have every cop in the world on your back at one time or another.
How long you lived here, Bronson?
Couple of months.
This the closet over here?
You stay away from there. There isn't anything in there that matters to you.
Then you shouldn't mind if we take a look.
Now, just keep your hands off of my stuff, huh?
If you haven't done anything, you got nothing to worry about, have you?
It isn't what I've done. It's what you guys are going to say I did.
How about this, Bronson?
That's mine. Hey, now, look, you got no right to go...
See what's in it, Frank.
Yeah.
Now, how about this, Bronson?
I never saw this before in my life. It's a frame you guys are trying to tie onto me. Well, it won't work, cops, and you know it won't.
How do you explain these two?
I don't have to. They belong to a friend. He asked me to take care of them.
How about this, Bronson?
Can't see, Joe. What is it?
Cutting torch. Looks like it's been used lately. 2:15 p.m. We searched the suspect's room. We found nothing further that would tie him in with the burglaries. We talked to the other people in the boarding house, but they couldn't give us any further information. They were unable to tell us if Bronson had any friends, and the landlady told us that he hadn't gotten any mail since he'd been there. We called the office and arranged for a stakeout on the boarding house, and then we took the suspect downtown to the city hall. We talked to him for an hour. 4:16 p.m.
That's where you stand on this thing, Bronson. Now you make up your mind. You want to take the beef by yourself, you're going to tell us where you got the tools.
I've been telling you. I didn't know anything about the tools. I got them from a friend. He asked me to keep the suitcase for him as a favor. He asked me to keep them for him, and that's all I know.
Well, what's the friend's name?
Like I told you, it's a fellow named Shorty.
What's his last name?
I don't know. If I knew, I'd tell you. I got no reason to hold back on it. I didn't have nothing to do with the jobs.
Otto, we were talking to you about one burglary. What do you mean by jobs?
Well, just the way you guys talk, I figured there was more than one.
You know what we're talking about.
I don't. I'm telling you the truth. I don't.
When'd you last see this Shorty?
When he gave me the suitcase.
When was that?
A week, maybe 10 days ago.
Where'd you see him?
In a bar down on 7th.
And he just gave you this suitcase, asked you to take care of it for him? Is that what you expect us to believe?
That's the truth.
Well, that's kind of hard to buy.
I can't help that. That's the way it happened.
Well, your friend sure left you in a good fix, didn't he?
What do you mean?
Well, it looks like you're going to have to go this route by yourself.
How do you figure that?
You got the tools, you got a record. You were in the vicinity just before the safe was burned. You look real good for it.
Well, I ain't going to take it alone.
Well, you haven't got much choice.
Well, what happens if I help you get the rest of them?
It'll be marked down that way.
Is that all you can do?
That's all.
How much if I help you break the gang?
That's all we can do.
Well, one thing you got to understand.
What's that?
I had nothing to do with the jobs myself. I just heard a few rumbles. You got to know I wasn't in on it.
What have you heard?
Well, there's 3 guys. They're from the east. They've been working out here about 6 weeks. Real heavy fellas.
Who are they?
I don't know him. The only one I ever saw was Shorty, and I'm not too sure he's in on it.
You know where we can pick him up?
No, like I said, I just heard a few rumbles.
All right, how about this, Shorty? Has he got a record?
I don't know. He might have.
You ever say anything about doing time?
No, not so I can hear.
How long you known him?
About 3 months. I met him right after I got out of queue.
Where'd you meet him?
A bar downtown. We got to talking one night, and after that I'd see him around here and there. And I never got to know him real well.
Just well enough for him to give you a suitcase full of burglar tools, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
And you didn't know what was in the case?
No, I didn't look. I didn't figure it was any of my business.
That's easy to buy, isn't it?
I can't help it. That's the way it is.
How much do you know about how the gang works?
Not much. Rumble is that they case a place for a couple of days, figure out when's the best time to hit it, and they walk in and burn the safe.
They use a car?
I don't know. I guess they do.
Does Shorty have a car?
I don't know. I never saw him with one. He never mentioned it.
You ever mention where he lived?
No, not to me. I figure it's over on the east side, huh?
How you figure that?
Well, just the way he talked. Nothing definite, but just the idea.
You look at some mugs and tell us if you see this Shorty?
Well, sure. I'd like to see you get him, leaving me to stand for a thing like this all by myself.
Anything else you can tell us about the gang?
No, that's about it.
Okay, let's look at the mugs.
Oh, how about it? I still got to go to jail?
Well, you still haven't convinced us you're clean.
Well, I told you everything I know.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Look, I go nuts in a cell.
You should have thought of that before.
Well, I can give you guys a lot of help if I'm on the outside.
You haven't given us much here.
Well, maybe I can.
All right, go ahead.
I can tell you when you're going to pull the next job.
We continued to talk to Otto Bronson. He told us that he'd heard the gang was planning to rob the safe of a large chain grocery store in the southern part of the city. He gave us the date and the time that the operation was expected to take place, but he was unable to give us the exact details of how the burglary would be committed. The suspect couldn't tell us whether a car would be used or how the store would be approached. He was unable to give us a description of the other two men in the operation, but he did give us a description of Shorty. We ran the name through the moniker file in R&I. We got back 285 possibles and had the mug shots on the suspects pulled. These were shown to Bronson, but he failed to make an identification. We showed him our mug files on known burglary suspects, but he again failed to come up with an identification. The burglary tools were booked as evidence, and then Frank and I talked with Captain Wisdom. It was agreed that it might be better to release Bronson and have him followed. 8:31 p.m. The suspect was released and placed under constant surveillance. The date Bronson had given us for the next burglary was the following Saturday, August 14th. Frank and I made arrangements to place a stakeout on the store. We checked the store and found that there were two entrances, one off the parking lot to one side of the building and one on the street. We took up our position so that both doors could be seen. The area was placed under a Code 5 call so that the stakeout would not be burned. Frank and I waited. 10 p.m., 11, no sign of the burglars. Midnight came and went. At 5:30 a.m., the stakeout was called off, and Frank got to a phone.
Yeah, when was that? Yeah? Okay, we'll be right in. Joe?
Yeah, anything?
Yeah, they lost the tail on Bronson.
At approximately 10:30 Saturday night, Otto Bronson had gone into a theater on South Spring Street. The officer following had entered, but had lost the suspect in the darkness. The next morning, Sunday, August 15th, we got a report that Bronson had turned up at his rooming house at 7:45 a.m. I got a call from the business office with this information, and at 8:20 I picked up Frank and we drove over to see Bronson.
Who's there?
It's Friday.
Oh, just a minute. Hi. Come on in. Well, you guys are up early this morning. How'd it turn out last night?
What are you trying to pull, Bronson?
What do you mean?
You know what we're talking about. Nothing happened last night.
Hey, you mean they didn't break into the place?
That's it.
I can't understand that. From what I heard, they had it all cased.
Where were you last night?
Well, you figure I had something to do with it, huh?
We just asked you where you were.
Oh, what's the matter? Hey, the tail you had on me get lost?
We're waiting for an answer, Bronson.
Well, I went to a movie and then came on home.
You came right home after the picture, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Right home.
How come it took you so long?
Now, what's that mean?
You didn't get home until this morning, did you?
You guys are pretty thorough, aren't you?
Where were you?
All right, I stopped and saw a friend. We got to drinking, forgot all about time. That makes me a pigeon for you.
Come on, Bronson, let's go downtown.
What for? I haven't done anything.
You gave us wrong information about last night.
Well, that's not my fault. I'm not running with the guys. I told you what I heard. Now, it's not my beef that it didn't work out. From what I knew, that was the way it was going to be.
All right, let's go.
Well, now, just a minute. Look, we can work this out, huh?
I'm afraid not.
I leveled with you guys. I'm not giving you a snow job. That's the way it is. Now, look, you got nothing on me. If you had, you wouldn't have let me go before. Now that I think about it, I don't like the idea of a tail on me. What are you guys going to prove with that? The way you act, it's no wonder you get no cooperation from anybody. It's no wonder at all.
All right, now you've made your point. Let's go downtown.
Yeah, who is it?
Mr. Bronson, it's me, Kelly.
It's the landlord. Yeah, what is it?
Mr. Friday here?
Yeah, I'm Friday.
Phone call for you. You can get it here in the hall.
Thanks.
You got it here.
Thank you. This Friday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When? Right. We'll be right there. Thanks a lot. Frank?
Yeah?
It's a business office. We got to leave.
Yeah?
You called it, Bronson. They worked last night, all right?
See, I told you.
Yeah, we staked out in South L.A.
So?
They hit in West L.A.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Chesterfield is best for you. Chesterfield Regular or Chesterfield King Size, which contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king-size cigarette. And always remember this. Chesterfield is first to give you premium quality in both regular and king size. Just as Chesterfield has been first to name its ingredients, the ingredients that make the best possible smoke. Enjoy your smoking. Change to Chesterfield. Much milder with an extraordinarily good taste. The best for you.
9:15 a.m. Frank and I contacted the West Los Angeles detectives and drove out to the scene of the latest burglary. It was a large chain grocery store. The thieves had burned into the safe, and the M.O. was the same as in the other burglaries. All the contents of the safe worth anything had been removed. The crews from the crime lab and Leighton Prince had already finished their investigation and had gone back to go over their findings. Frank and I talked to the manager of the store, Mr. Charles Gleason.
Well, let me see, Sergeant. The first I knew about it was when they called me to say that the safe had been robbed.
Mm-hmm. Any idea how much was taken?
Well, I'd just be guessing with the officers working around here. I didn't get a chance to check it yet, but I'd say about $5,000 or $6,000. The weekend and all, we'd done a pretty good business, and I didn't get a chance to get to the bank. I had all that money in the safe. Of course, I'll have to check the books to tell you exactly how much they took, but like I said, it was probably $5,000 or $6,000.
Do you have a burglar alarm system in the store, Mr. Gleason?
I beg your pardon?
I said, do you have a burglar alarm system in the store?
Yes, and that's a funny thing. I can't understand why it didn't work. The officers who were here from your crime lab, is that it?
Yeah, that's right, sir.
Well, they said that evidently it had been turned off somehow. I don't understand it, but that's what they said.
I see. I wonder if you could give us a list of your employees.
Well, yes, certainly, but you don't think that any of them had anything to do with this, do you?
Well, they've all got to be checked out, sir. Can you give us the list?
Oh. Well, yes, I can. I guess that's right, but I'm sure that none of them were involved.
Well, Mr. Gleason, have you noticed anyone hanging around the store, anyone that might have looked suspicious to you that you can remember?
It'd be awfully hard to say. We do a lot of business with all the people who come in and out. It's kind of hard to say.
Yes, sir, we understand. But could you remember, was there anyone who attracted your attention? Maybe someone unusual, somebody loitering in the neighborhood, maybe around the store?
No, sir, not that I can think of.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything that was taken from the safe that might give us a lead, something that might not ordinarily be in there, something that you could identify easily?
No, I don't think so, just the money. Of course, there were several checks.
Oh,
checks that we cashed for the customers. They might have totaled $500. I can give you a list of them. We have them photographed if you want copies of them.
Yes, sir, that'd be a big help.
Oh, officers, there was one more thing.
Yes, sir, what was that?
Well, you know how people lose things.
Yes, sir.
A couple of days ago, we found a watch. It looked expensive. We found it in the back of the store. That was in the safe, too. Everything's gone. Must have taken that, too. It isn't there now.
Well, can you give us a description of the watch?
Yes, I can. I noticed it because, well, to be honest, I was kind of hoping that nobody would claim it. You keep things like that around here for a couple of days and then turn them in to you. I'd like to have had that one myself. Certina, it was a gold case with a white face, only had a few numbers. You know, some of the spots were just the little gold spots.
Yeah, I mean the spots were...
The numbers, the little gold spots.
I know what you mean, sir.
Well, this one had a gold band, and it was one that was a kind of a chain thing, not an expansion band. You know, the chain, the gold chain?
Yes, sir. Would you know the watch if you saw it again?
Oh, sure. I looked at it enough, and then there was that scratch on the crystal, too.
Sir?
We're right over the number 2. There was a scratch. I can show you right here on my watch. You see right there, a little scratch?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of went off at an angle. It was real easy to spot.
Yes, sir, I understand.
You know, it's a funny thing, you officers being here. There's a friend of mine once. Well, I'd just as soon not mention his name if you don't mind, because he was innocent, you know, but it looked bad. I was kind of worried about it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And these officers came out to his house, just took the place apart. It was all right. It's perfectly legal. They had a search warrant.
What'd they come out for?
Well, they thought he was mixed up in a robbery.
Oh.
I don't know how they ever thought it, but it looked suspicious, I guess. He was seen with some characters that were, well, not very nice. And they came out to his house, took the whole place apart. You never saw such a mess in your life. Ripped up the mattresses, took down ruined the picture. A beautiful picture. End of the trail. You know the one with the Indian,
Yes, sir.
the spear going down like that?
Yes, sir.
Took that apart. The whole picture just fell apart. They never could get it back together again. I don't know whether they can get another one or not.
They
Darndest
find
mess you
anything?
ever saw, huh?
I say, did they find anything? The money?
Yeah, they did. They found a fountain pen his wife had lost 2 years ago. Had her initials on it.
Yes, sir. Well, is there anything else you can think of that would help us here?
No, not that I can figure.
Well, if you do remember anything, sir, here's our card. We'd certainly appreciate a call.
Frank Smith. Just ask for you, huh?
Yes, sir, and if we're not there, just leave a message and we'll get in touch with you.
All right, I'll do that.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Gleason.
You bet. I sure hope you catch the fellows that are doing that.
Yes, sir, so do we.
Guess you've been after them quite a while now, huh?
Yes, sir, we have.
What the papers say, this makes number 13 for me. Bad number 13, kind of unlucky.
No worse than number 1. Frank and I went back to the city hall and completed our crime report. We contacted the crime lab and latent prints and found that they'd come up with no physical evidence at the scene. From the M.O., it could be definitely established that they were the same suspects we were after. We obtained a list of the employees of the store and checked them out. We came up with no new leads. A list of the checks that had been taken from the safe were given to forgery detail. Frank and I went to Otto Bronson's rooming house and brought him down to the city hall for questioning.
Maybe if you guys had spent a little more time doing your job and less time bothering me, you'd end up catching us fellas.
Don't worry about it, Bronson. We'll get them. We'd like to go over what you did last night again.
I told you
Well,
once.
tell us again, will you?
All right. Like I said, I had dinner around 8, maybe 8:30.
Where'd you eat?
A place over on Spring.
See anybody you knew?
No, I don't think I did.
Where'd you go then?
I went to a movie, a place on 7th.
See anybody you knew there?
No.
Well, then you'd have a tough time proving where you were, wouldn't you?
Not all the way. You had a tail on me. Most of this you know already.
All right.
What'd
What'd you do after you left the movie?
I told you that. I went over to see a friend.
Yeah, where's he live?
A hotel on 5th.
What's his name?
Oh, look, I don't want to see him dragged into this.
If he's clean, he's got nothing to worry about, huh?
Yeah, sure, but you guys go over and talk to him. It's a lot of embarrassment for him, and I just don't want it.
All right, let's go.
Oh, no. You going to book me?
That's it.
I told you what being in a cell does to me.
You should have thought about that before.
All right, I'll tell you who he is.
Well, go ahead.
His name's Anderson, Mark Anderson.
You ever fallen?
No, he's clean.
Sure about that?
Yeah. Now, I suppose you want to go over and talk to him, huh?
Yeah, we'll get to it.
You still going to book me?
We haven't any choice.
Look, I told you what I know, Sergeant. I told you everything. I can't help it if I was wrong. Look, it's no crime to make a mistake, is it? I never read about no law that says you can't make a mistake.
Well, why don't you tell us the truth about what you know about these burglaries,
I
then?
told you.
What you told us we can't buy.
Well, that's tough, fella, but that's the way it is. Now, I told you what I know. There isn't any more. Now, if you want, go on. Check with Mark Anderson. He'll tell you I was with him all night. He'll tell you. I don't want no trouble, you guys. He'll tell you, and that's the truth. Really, I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah, we've heard that before. 6:40 p.m. We booked Otto Bronson at the main jail on suspicion of burglary. Before he was put in his cell, we got the address of Mark Anderson. After we'd finished with the booking, Frank and I drove over to the hotel on 5th Street. Anderson was registered in room 812. The desk clerk told us that Anderson was in his room. He was unable to tell us much about Anderson because, as he explained, he'd only worked at the hotel for a week and hadn't seen much of him. We went upstairs and knocked at the door.
Yeah?
You Mark Anderson?
That's right. Who are you?
Police officers. I'd like to talk to you.
Sure, come on in.
This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Anderson. What do you want to see me about?
You know a fellow named Bronson, Otto Bronson?
Yeah, sure. I know Otto.
When'd you see him last?
Hey, what's this all about anyway? Otto done something?
Just a routine investigation, Anderson. When was the last time you saw Bronson?
Routine, huh?
That's right.
I saw him last night.
Where'd you see him?
Here. He came up, sat around, killed a bottle, talked it up.
Mm-hmm. What time did you leave here?
Must have been about 7:30 this morning, something like that.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Sure. Glad to help out whenever I can. Otto isn't in any trouble, is he?
Like we said, it's just routine.
Mm-hmm. Well, anything more I can do to help out, you let me know.
Yeah, we'll do that.
You leaving right away?
Yeah, that's right. We'll be getting back to the office.
Well, I'll get my coat and walk down with you. I got a date in 15 minutes. Gonna have to romp
It's a
on
nice
her.
watch you got there.
Yeah, it's new.
Let me take a look at it, will you?
Well, it's just a watch. If you don't mind, I like to get going.
Let me see the watch.
Sure, no reason you can't. Here.
Okay. You said this was new?
Yeah, just got it a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm. Did you notice the scratch on the crystal here?
Yeah, I never saw that before. Guess I'll have to take it back and get another one.
Let me see it, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you buy this watch?
Yeah.
Where?
Well, jeweler's down the street.
You get a receipt for it?
No, I didn't. I know the guy. I didn't figure I'd need one.
Why don't we take a look through your room?
Why? What are you looking for?
Just like to take a look.
You got a search warrant?
No, we can get one if we have to.
Well, then you better go get one. I'm not having any cops looking through my stuff.
Frank?
Yeah.
I told you to get a warrant. You got no right to look in there.
Something in the closet you don't figure we should see.
No,
right?
it's not that. It's just...
Well, then there's no problem, is there?
Joe,
Yeah.
a couple of suitcases.
You want to bring them out?
Yeah. Here they are. This one's kind of heavy. It feels like there's some sort of tools in it.
Can open it up?
Wait a minute. You got the key for this one, Anderson?
There's nothing in there for you.
We'll figure that, huh?
Joe, looks like this other one's open.
Now, about this, Anderson. Money here and these checks.
Watch it, Joe.
All right, Anderson. All right, come on, get up. Get up.
I'll shake him, Joe. Yeah, he's clean.
Stand still. All right, Anderson, let's go.
Otto told you, didn't he? A lousy little sneak. He told you. I never did trust him. I kept telling Shorty. I kept telling him we shouldn't trust him.
Who's Shorty?
Shorty Miller.
Want to tell us where we can find him?
Sure, I got nothing to lose. Lousy little Otto.
Just the three of you in on the job?
Yeah, that's all. Otto, Shorty, and me, just the three of us. Him and his big ideas. How he had it all fixed up when you tagged him. How he was going to get us in the clear. Don't worry, he said. He'd take care of everything. Lousy liar. He'd fix it for us. That's real funny.
Shouldn't be.
What?
He fixed it.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 14th, trial was held in Department 87, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. I've been pleased to see how many of you king-size smokers have been changing to Chesterfield. It's just as I've been telling you, king-size Chesterfields contain tobaccos of better quality than any other king-size cigarette. Now, either way you like them, regular or king-size, Chesterfields have a better taste, and they're really milder.
Otto N. Bronson, Mark A. Anderson, and Samuel R. Miller were tried and found guilty of 9 counts of burglary with explosives. They received sentence as prescribed by law. Burglary with explosives is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 10, nor more than 40 years. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Perrin, Stacey Harris. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis Show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield's. Either regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfield's much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, wherever and whenever people need help, the Red Cross answers the call. When a flood-stricken family needs shelter, when a crippled child must learn to walk and play, and when a wounded soldier needs blood, the Red Cross is always there. And now the Red Cross needs your help. To keep up their many services this year, $93 million is needed. So when the Red Cross volunteer calls on you, please answer the call and give generously.
name's Regan. I work for Anthony J. Lyon, Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Sunday at 8:30, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery and suspense and adventure in tonight's transcribed story, They've Got More Than Coffee in Brazil.
Her name was Irene Centino. The lady from Brazil, the Lion called her. He figured it for an easy trace job, something for missing persons. Only when we do them, the Lion gets paid. Well, the program said it was simple, except before we wound it up, there were a couple of added attractions. A doctor who didn't do any doctoring, a nurse with a built-in temperature, and a couple of blackouts that were meant to be permanent. And guess what? In that last part, I was supposed to be the star. Anyhow, it all began late last Monday. I was home. My boss, Anthony J. Lyon, knocked on my door. I opened it, and that's when I made my first mistake.
Jeffrey, I'm glad I found you in. I'm just on my way home from the office.
You could have kept on going. I'm out of bourbon.
Oh, now, Jeffrey, I didn't come by just for that. You got anything else?
Nope.
All right. As a matter of fact, I want your advice, Regan.
Cut out starches and get some exercise.
Yes.
What else?
Yeah, what would you do if you traveled 10,000 miles just to see your sister and then couldn't find her?
I'd give up the search.
You would? Why?
I haven't got a sister.
That's not what I'm talking about. You'd go to missing persons, wouldn't you? Sure you would. But if you knew your family in a foreign country would become greatly alarmed at this sort of notoriety, you'd look for your sister in another way. You'd hire a good private detective. Now, isn't that right?
Come on, Fatso, get to the point.
We have a new client. Her name's Irene Centino. She's from Brazil. Rio. Fine family, Regan. Coffee. She's engaged the Lion Detective Bureau to locate her younger sister, Carmen.
I'm no St. Bernard.
You'll do till I can feed one. Oh, I know you've been working hard lately, but, Jeffrey, this is one of those occasions when I'm proud to be a part of our profession. We have an opportunity to help a young lady in desperate straits and, at the same time, secure goodwill from South America.
Ever hear of the State Department?
Of course I have. But they can't do it all alone. It's up to individual citizens to take responsibility, too.
And that's the only reason you want me to find her sister?
Absolutely. Now, Miss Centino is taking an apartment at this address. Here, go see her, comfort her, let her know the Lion Detective Bureau and the United States of America will do everything possible to locate her lost sister.
That all?
That's enough.
What'd she pay you?
$200.
Yeah. That's a lot of green to get in advance.
She insisted. She's very anxious to find that girl.
Well, watch out her check doesn't bounce.
It won't. She paid cash.
The $200 was already making a lump in the Lion's coat, and I knew the next spot for it was his mattress. Well, maybe that's the reason he's a bachelor. I left him in my place and drove over to the address he'd given me. It was one of those Beverly Hills apartments with a long, glassy look. Irene Centino's apartment was on the second floor. She was a tall, brown-haired girl without a smile. She wore glasses. And when she talked, she sounded sad, like a banjo player with a paper pick.
Thank you so much for coming over, Mr. Regan. I've been very upset all day. I just had to do something about Carmen.
Your sister?
Yes, my younger sister. She's the one I came here to see.
Yeah, I heard.
It's an awful vacant feeling. I thought she'd meet me at the airport, and she wasn't there. And when I went to her address, we were very close.
She's from Rio, too?
Yes, of course.
How's her English?
Well, the same as mine. We were both educated in the United States.
Where?
Back east. Vassar.
You older than Carmen?
Yes, 2 years. She's 25 now. Carmen left home a year ago, you see. She's always been very independent, and well, I'm afraid something might have happened to her.
Like what?
Well, I don't know. Young girl, pretty, I don't know. Now, as I say, she's so independent. I received this letter from her a few days ago. It was the first word since she left home.
It came this way?
Well, yes.
No envelope?
Oh, well, I threw that away. She wrote her address there at the end, and I didn't see any need for keeping the envelope.
And, she wasn't at this address?
That's what frightens me. There isn't any such address.
Yeah. What does your sister Carmen look like?
Why, I gave her a snapshot to Mr. Lyne. Didn't he give it to you?
He forgets things.
Oh, no matter. I have another. Of course, it's old and not very good. I think it's right here in this suitcase. You'll pardon things going all over, but I haven't had time to do anything. Oh, here it is. Right here.
Ah, she's blonde, huh?
Well, a little lighter than mine. We're the same height, too. We used to wear each other's clothes. Oh, Mr. Regan, you will be able to find her, won't you?
I don't think you want me to.
Mr. Regan, are you trying to be funny?
You hand me a snapshot so old it could be anybody and a letter that says nothing, and you want me to turn up a blonde.
But I thought those would be leads. She mentions the name of a doctor. I thought you
Is he the man?
The man?
She left home a year ago. She wasn't following the crops.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There was a man in it. If I'm going to do any good, I've got to have it all, lady.
All right, there was a man.
Yeah.
His name was Frank Martin. I met him once in Mexico City. She thought she was in love with him. But he has nothing to do with it, Mr. Regan. I'm sure he has nothing to do with it.
How do you know?
Because I looked him up. He lives out on Laurel Avenue.
You talked to him?
No, but I asked questions around. I'm completely satisfied he knows nothing about it. Look, if you'd see this doctor my sister mentioned...
You want me to find your sister?
Yes.
But you don't want me to see this Frank Martin.
I didn't say that.
You didn't have to, lady. Okay. You got a report when I got something. Oh, there's one more thing.
What's that?
How long did you stop off on the way to shop in New York?
What makes you think I'd do that?
Labels. When you leave your clothes strewn around, labels show. There's no Saks Fifth Avenue in Rio. When I walked out, her mouth was wide open like she was trying to scream. I mean, nothing came out. I hung around the door outside for a minute to see if she'd use the phone. But when nothing happened, I looked up Frank Martin in the city directory and drove over to Laurel. Two-story apartment building, the color of a bride's blush. It was wrapped around a swimming pool, too small for people, too big for birds. Martin's name wasn't on the mailbox, so I tried the manager's door. His voice sounded like a beer truck in low gear.
Well, come on in, Pilgrim. You don't know me, do you?
I just got here.
I played the Palace in 26. Oh, them was the days.
Write it up. Sell at the movies.
Oh, them slobs. Central Casting ain't called me in 4 years.
You got a card?
AFRA, SAG, and the Musicians Union. I play the French horn. And none of them call me. Now, I figure it's television. No union yet, but... by the way, what are you doing here, buddy?
Looking for a man named Frank Martin.
Now, look, I like Frank. You got trouble, stay away from him. He bruises easy.
And you're just a mother to him.
He's a nice laddie. Remember what I tell you, huh?
Sure.
Come on, I'll show you.
Thanks.
That's him.
Yeah, he stays in one key.
All the time. A low one.
Sounds like.
Second door on the right.
Thanks.
See ya, Pilgrim.
Come on in. It's unlocked.
Your name Frank Martin?
Yep. Who wants to know?
My name's Regan. I'm a private investigator with Lion Detective Bureau.
Wrong steer, Gumshoe. I don't need one.
Not looking for work. I'm looking for you.
What'd you say it was, Regan?
Yeah.
R-E-G-A-N? Regan? Regan. Just wrote that one. Cute, huh?
I'm, looking for a friend of yours.
A second ago, you were looking for me. Now you're looking for a friend of mine. Frank Martin never had a friend. Who are we talking about?
Carmen Centino.
Oh. How is Carmen these days?
I don't know.
Thought you said you were a detective.
I did.
You sound like an amateur.
You sound like a guy with a chip on his shoulder.
I sound like a lot of things. You trying to get tough, baby?
I figures why your name isn't on the mailbox.
Yeah?
Nobody'd ever write you.
I'll, skip that, Regan. Who hired you to do what?
Her sister's in town. She's looking for Carmen.
Didn't know Carmen had a sister. What else?
You're the boyfriend. Where is she?
Yeah, the boyfriend. That's real good. Let me tell you what Carmen's like, Regan. Eyes just right. Hair just right. Everything just right. Everything just right. Wait till you see her in a bathing suit. That's something, brother.
She, isn't wearing one in this picture.
Bad picture, Regan. You got no idea how bad. Hardly looks like her, like she is. Ever met him like that?
Sometimes.
About a year ago, I was sitting right here and the phone rings. It's Carmen. You know, we talked about football, marriage. We were going to be married, Regan, only she decided all of a sudden she didn't want it. Just like that. It was her idea. I haven't seen her since.
You tried?
Once. She moved. No forwarding address, that's all.
Makes a good story.
But you don't believe it. Now, let me tell you the reason we broke up. It's a dilly.
My hearing's good.
Well, you've heard about the happy couple, but the guy keeps getting loaded, can't lay off. This is different. Big switch.
Carmen.
Yeah. Yeah, Carmen.
That's why she was seeing a doctor?
Carmen seeing a doctor? Look, why don't you get out of here?
Why?
Because we don't like each other.
There's such a thing something might have happened to Carmen. She's scared.
Some of us are scared part of the time, and then somebody makes a lot of noise looking for somebody, then everybody gets scared. You scared, Regan?
Yeah.
Oh? About what?
Carmen Centino. I might be looking too late. Well, what he gave me filled in the cast, but the plot wasn't getting any clearer. So I looked up the doctor Carmen had mentioned in her letter. His name was Kingston, and the only address was a place out in Encino. It was a ranch house built all over the top of the hill like whipped cream. Figured he was getting over ceiling for his pills. I parked my car by the gate and followed the flagstones up to the front door. When I pressed a button, I heard something that sounded like chamber music. A blonde girl wearing a red dress that must have been riveted for her opened the door about the middle of the second chorus.
Well, I like blue serge. It has an effect on me.
It's the only thing in the closet.
You fill it out nice, but you don't look sick.
I want to see the doctor anyway.
Come in and we'll talk about it. My, you are tall, Mr.
Regan.
Regan.
Who are you? Florence Nightingale?
I hold the doctor's stethoscope. My name's Vivian Lytell.
Mind telling him I'm here?
Yes, he's busy.
So are you, lady.
He'll be busy quite a while. He just opened another bottle.
Oh, I'm right on time.
You're so eager.
Oh, wait.
Rex isn't sociable like me. He drinks alone. He gets more that way. Let me entertain you.
Easy, Angel. I don't know how to fix a fracture.
I've already got a man who can do that. I want one with brains.
What's the matter with the doc?
He keeps his in a bottle. Hasn't used him for a long time now.
He's done all right.
This? He'd be selling papers if his wife hadn't left him a good insurance policy.
What's the matter? Don't you like his money?
Oh, don't get me wrong. It's just that a girl has feelings, too.
Yeah. They show.
Oh, I'm glad I met you. We're going to have some nice afternoons.
But you work for a living.
I got lots of free time. Besides, I should have at least one outside interest.
Keep looking. You'll find one.
You smile good, but you talk nasty.
I only came to see Kingston.
There's the phone. Call and make an appointment. Now, get out.
Vivian, about this... Oh, I didn't know you had company. I'll talk to you another time.
Just a minute, Doctor. This is Mr. Regan. He's your company, but he doesn't have a business card.
Look, Mr. Regan, I'm no longer in practice, just doing a search on my own. I have all the medical equipment I can use, and I turned all my patients over to another doctor.
I know one you forgot.
Oh? Well, tell me who.
Carmen Centino.
Go ahead, Vivian. I'll speak to Mr. Regan.
Watch yourself, Rex. He doesn't know how to be nice.
It'll only take a minute.
I'll crack some ice. You'll need a drink.
Very fine, nurse.
Yeah. It's a nice uniform.
Working on my own. We're very casual. You said I had a patient named Carmen what was it?
Carmen Centino.
I'm afraid you're mistaken, Mr. Regan. Who told you that?
I read about you in a letter.
Must have been another Kingston.
There's only one with a license.
Are you a relative of this girl?
Friend.
You're a detective, aren't you?
Yeah. Want to show me your files someday?
Why not today? This way. I keep them right here on my lap. Help yourself, Mr. Regan.
Thanks.
Want a drink?
Too early.
You don't mind if I have one?
Your house?
Find anything?
Not under Centino. Could have used another name.
That's possible. When was I supposed to have treated her?
Oh, about a year ago, according to this letter. Here. Here's a picture.
No. I've never treated anyone who looks like that.
Sure?
Positive. What was her illness?
Might have had something to do with that stuff you're drinking. They die from it sometimes.
I see. You can't see it from this window, but just over the hill, my wife's buried. I had special permission from the county to bury her on my property. She was a great comfort to me when she was alive. I haven't been the same since she passed away, and, well, that's why I'm no longer in practice.
I didn't ask for that.
But you did, with your eyes. You're a strange man. Do you enjoy making a living this way, prying into other people's lives, searching for what's best left alone?
Is he still here, Rick?
Yes, Vivian, but he's just leaving. You can find your way.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Blue Surge. You were a real disappointment.
Don't give up. I'll be back.
Don't bother, Regan. The doctor will be out.
The whole thing looked phony, like a fan dancer in long underwear. But when I left the two of them, I was beginning to get an idea, just beginning. I walked over the side of the hill to look at the grave. It was there, all right, like he said. Irene Kingston, 1922, 1948. Maybe that explained it. Maybe it didn't. I was remembering those New York labels I'd seen on Irene Santino's clothes when I left there and looked up a friend of mine in the CAA. He checked into it and told me nobody named Santino had come in from Rio on any flight last week. And the immigration people didn't have a passport or visa record on her either. I was home thinking about all this when my phone began ringing. It was Irene Santino. She did all the talking.
I tried to get you at your office, Mr. Regan, but no one answered. I had to speak to you.
What about?
I found Carmen.
Yeah?
Rather, Carmen found me. I feel sort of foolish now, calling you people in and all that. Well, she came right to my apartment. Can you imagine? She's been looking for me.
What about her address?
Oh, that was another silly thing. Only it was a mistake. She's not very good at details. Please thank Mr. Lyon for his kindness. And, Mr. Regan.
Yeah?
It's all confidential. I wouldn't want any of this to get to the wrong people.
You know some of the wrong kind?
Doesn't everyone? Well, goodbye.
Oh, Jeffrey, you running any expenses on the Santino thing?
No.
Good, good. It's all over.
Well, how do you know? She just...
It just came from missing persons. There's a cop there named Perini. Got an eye like an eagle.
Talk sense.
I had that other picture of the Santino dame with me. He took one look at it and opened up a file.
What kind of file?
Dead and unclaimed.
What do you mean?
The county buried her. Carmen Santino's been dead a year.
This is CBS, and you're listening to They've Got More Than Coffee in Brazil, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Well, there were enough angles to write a new geometry book. Irene Santino gave me a picture and a letter and started me digging for her sister, Carmen. I meet a guy with a piano and a doctor with a bottle. Everybody talks, but nobody says anything. And then Irene calls me off, says she found her sister. Only the Lion walks in with a different version. Missing persons say Carmen Santino's holding down a spot in the county cemetery. Well, I figured somebody was having nightmares. I didn't say anything to the Lion and went down to the Hall of Records. There was a little guy sitting at the desk in Vital Statistics. His fingernails were dirty and he was reading a dictionary. He must have been at a good part because he looked mad when I interrupted him.
We're not on a bus. Quit shoving.
I want some information.
I'm a public servant. That's what I'm here for. What kind of information?
Get to the death files, will you?
You're a morbid guy. We got a lot of stuff on births and marriages. Ask me something about them.
A girl named Carmen Santino died about a year ago. Tell me what from.
Okay. How do you spell it?
Just like it sounds.
Santino, huh? Sabatini, Sanaki, Sanford. That's what happened to old Sandy. No wonder I ain't seen him around.
Come on, get with it, will you?
Here it is. Santino. Date of death, 15 October 1948. Cause of death?
Alcoholic poisoning.
Yeah. How'd you get it?
Never mind. Who signed the certificate?
Rex J. Kingston, M.D.
Okay. Here's one more for you. Look up Irene Kingston.
The doc's wife?
Look it up.
Okay. Kingsley. Here. Kingston, Irene. 13 October 1948.
Cause of death?
You guessed it again. The same. Alcoholic poisoning. Hey, this guy couldn't keep a patient.
filled it in. I could see the plot, but I wasn't sure of the ending. So I didn't waste any time getting over to Irene Santino's place. But I wasn't fast enough. The door was halfway open when I got there. All the company had left, but Irene was still around. She was sitting there looking at the phone, like it was all she had to think about.
Mr. Regan.
What's so funny?
Everything. Everything, Mr. Regan. Oh, excuse me for not getting up. I didn't expect you. I told you I found my sister, didn't I?
Yeah, you told me, but you didn't tell me she was dead.
I didn't even tell you that I haven't got a sister. Did I? Did I?
Come on, lady, give it to me. What are you talking about?
Look, this little red spot on my arm. Doesn't look like much, does it? But just wait, Mr. Regan. You just wait. You just wait. Wait.
I found a doctor on the floor below. He grabbed his black bag and went to work on her. She quieted down to a slow inside giggle, then went out altogether. The doctor got hold of an ambulance and carted her off to a hospital. They just wheeled her out the door when the Lion showed up.
Jeffrey, did I see an ambulance out front?
That's right. Your client was in it.
What?
Yeah, somebody stuffed her full of something that made her giggle.
I don't understand all this at all. I stopped by home to change to my dark suit so I could come by and bring Miss Santino the news of her sister's death, and what do I walk in?
You can save your tears, Fatso. She didn't come from Brazil, and she wasn't rich.
That woman gave me $200 cash. There was nothing unreliable about her. We had a contract.
You can use it for confetti.
Now see here, Jeffrey.
Look, Lion, look at this picture.
Carmen Santino. I have one just like it.
All right, draw some glasses on it. Add about 6 or 7 years.
I don't understand you, Jeffrey. We're talking business, and all at once we're playing games.
When I came to see her tonight, she wasn't wearing her glasses. She looked a lot like the dame in this picture.
Of course she did, naturally. That's her own sister.
She never had a sister.
Never had a sister? Then who did the county bury?
That's what I'm going to find out from a guy named Rex Kingston.
I had a feeling you'd be back. I built a fire.
I forgot the marshmallows.
Come on in. I'm not mad anymore.
I'm still looking for your doctor.
Let me take care of you. I have a way with men.
Didn't we do all this once before?
Oh, it's night now. You can ask me some questions. I know some swell answers.
I'll bet.
How do you like your drink?
Your way?
That's better. Now, let's have a nice, quiet evening. Just you and me.
I want to see him.
There's been a famine of men like you.
You don't look underfed. I said I want to see him.
Oh, all right. We could have had such a nice evening. Rex?
What is it?
Mr. Regan's here again.
Yes. Hello, Regan. Didn't I tell you I'd be out?
Yeah, you told me that, but you didn't tell me what I wanted to know. I had to go to Vital Statistics to get that.
What?
You don't have anything in your files about Carmen Santino, but you signed her death certificate.
Now, you get this, Regan. You saw my files once, and I don't have to open them again to anyone who comes here without a warrant, and you haven't got one.
But I know where I can get one. When I go to the city attorney's office and tell them what I've got, they'll have somebody out here to exhume that grave on the hill.
What do you mean, Regan?
Irene Kingston died 2 days before Carmen Santino of the same thing. Dr. Kingston signed both certificates. He collects on his wife's insurance, only I don't think his wife really died. I think that extra grave up on the hill is window dressing.
And if my wife didn't die, Regan, where is she now?
I don't know. She could be at a downtown hospital, posing under the name of Irene Santino. It was a shot in the dark, but it brought results. Kingston swung a lamp base around that connected on the side of my head. When I came to, I was in a white room, back of the house. Tried to move my head, but it felt like a grand piano. Nothing else worked either, so I just lay there. Pretty soon somebody began putting something damp on my face, and I began to see better. Vivian was standing there with Kingston. He looked sick, like an ostrich with a sore throat. He had a needle in his hand.
I can't. You can do it all right, Rex. Go ahead.
That's the same treatment you tried to give Irene?
You should have stayed out, Regan.
I wanted one more look at you, baby.
I hate to see the nice ones go, but it'll be all over in a minute. All right, Rex.
Give me a drink, Vivian. Gotta have a drink.
It won't help. I found Irene in time. She's going to live. She's He's going to talk.
Go ahead, Rex. Give it to him. Then we'll clear out.
But Irene's still alive. I didn't kill her.
You'll do better this time.
I can't.
Go ahead.
No, I won't.
I said go ahead or I'll shoot you, Rex. I'll shoot you if you don't.
No, you don't. It's all over, Vivian. It's all over.
Vivian had the gun, but Kingston was too much for her. All of a sudden, it began going off. Vivian started to look pale. And then she went down. Slow. And easy.
She deserved it.
That what you're going to tell the state?
Regan, is Irene really going to live?
That's what the doctor says.
Good, Regan. No, don't try to move. I gave you a shot of preparatory solution. You won't be able to move for another hour. I suppose I ought to run.
You won't get far.
I know. But listen to me. Irene, she's my wife. She's innocent of all this. When you tell the police the real story...
I haven't got it all.
You had enough?
It started with Carmen Santino.
She stumbled in one night. She was very ill. She dropped dead before I could do anything for her.
Alcohol?
Yes. But before she died, she kept talking about a man named Martin.
Lives over on Laurel.
Yes, I was going to get in touch with him. But I had a better idea. She looked a great deal like my wife, Irene. It was quite remarkable.
The insurance.
Yes. Irene didn't want to do it, but she loved me, so she finally disappeared. I used one body for 2 death certificates and buried an empty box up on the hill. I was supposed to join Irene later.
See. Vivian.
Yes. Vivian came along. I was drinking one night, and she found out the truth. I was trapped. It would have stayed that way if Irene hadn't hired you.
And I was supposed to scare you with that story about her sister in Brazil.
It worked, too.
That guy Martin said. Somebody gets scared. And then...
Regan, can you hear me?
Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. Stuff's making me sleepy.
It'll wear off. I'm going now, Regan. See that Irene gets a fair shake?
I'll try. He picked up a bottle and started out the door. He didn't even look down at Vivian's body on the floor. I tried to move. Like he said, nothing worked. It was 2 more hours before I could get to the phone and call homicide. It was 2 more days before I talked to the Lion.
Sure. I'm sending it right over. Yes, of course. Jeffrey, my boy, how are you feeling? Better?
Well, the fog's gone out of my head, if that's what you mean. Otherwise, I feel lousy.
Oh, don't take it so hard, my boy. All in a day's work. Besides, there's the brighter side. Yes, indeed.
Like what?
Well, for one thing, they got that Dr. Kingston. He only got as far as Las Vegas. Crime doesn't pay, Jeffrey. Crime just does not pay.
Doesn't, huh? What's this?
Now, wait a minute. Give me that.
Application. Consolidated insurance.
It's nothing, I tell you.
You mean to tell me we're going to try to collect a reward?
We exposed an insurance fraud. Every insurance company pays a little something for that. We had expenses. You don't know how hard I worked on this, Jeffrey.
Here, take it back.
Well, what's the matter? You look like it's something illegal.
Crime does not pay.
Jeff Regan, Investigator, is directed and transcribed by Sterling Tracy and stars Frank Graham as Regan, with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Tonight's script was by E. Jack Newman. Original music is by Dick Arant. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield is best for you. First cigarette with premium quality in both regular and king size. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. You get a call that a large market has been held up. You have a good description of the thief. Your job? Get him.
Years ahead of them all. Chesterfield is years ahead of them all.
The quality contrast between Chesterfield and other leading cigarettes is a revealing story. Recent chemical analyses give an index of good quality for the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. The index of good quality table, a ratio of high sugar to low nicotine, shows Chesterfield quality highest, 15% higher than its nearest competitor, and Chesterfield quality 31% higher than the average of the 5 other leading brands. Yes, Chesterfield is first with premium quality in both regular and king size. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like that?
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, March 10th. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch at a robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. I was on my way into the office, and it was 8:02 a.m. when I got to room 27A. Robbery.
Joe?
Yeah, Frank. It's really coming down, isn't it?
Yeah, pouring out in the valley.
That's so?
Yeah. Keeps coming down like this, going to cause a lot of trouble. Sure makes Faye mad.
Yeah, how's that?
Well, it gets to raining like this, and she begins to think about the house. You know, doing something about it, changing stuff around.
That so?
Spent the whole day yesterday moving furniture. Finally got it all set just before dinner. Looked pretty good, too.
What happened?
Well, we got through dinner and all went in to look at television.
Yeah.
The way she had the furniture, none of us could see a thing. The chairs were either so close you couldn't see, or else they were way across the room.
No, well, you're not supposed to get too close, are you, anyway?
Yeah, but, Joe, we only got a 10-inch screen. We got one of those big magnifiers on it, and if you get to one side, everybody looks like they got the mumps. Had to move all the stuff back the way it was.
It's a hot shot. I'll get it. All right, get your coat. We got one to roll on.
What is it?
Liquor store robbery. 8:12 a.m. We arrived at the scene of the holdup. It was a large liquor grocery store at the corner of San Marino Avenue and 6th Streets. A radio unit was already there. Frank and I checked with him, and then we talked with the victim, a Mr. Henry Alden.
I was just standing there at the counter. This old guy came in, pulled a gun, told me he wanted the money. I gave it to him.
Uh-huh. He said in the phone that he was elderly. Is that right?
Yeah, old guy. Must have been about 65 or 70. Real bum.
How do you mean?
Well, the way he was dressed, you know. Old clothes, real seedy.
Uh-huh. What if you tell us just what happened?
Well, sure. Well, it was about 8 this morning. I opened up, and I was there making out the deposit slip for the bank. Guy walked in the back door and pulled his gun. Told me he wanted the money.
Uh-huh.
Well, like I said, I gave it to him. He told me to get into the closet back there. Told me to lie down on the floor. And I did. He had that gun pointed right at my head. I did like he told me.
I see. What happened then?
Well, he walked over to the door and flipped the lock on it a couple of times, you know, to make sure it worked.
Yeah.
And then he figured it was okay, and he told me not to make any noise for 5 minutes. And he locked the door and left. That's it. Took all the money.
How much money did he take, would you know?
Yeah, to the penny. I just finished adding it up. Just a minute.
All right.
I got the figures on the machine. Tell you right away. That is $5,200 and 52 cents. That's it exactly.
You said the guy came in the back door, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, were you open? I mean, was the store open for business?
No, we weren't. You see, I usually don't open before 8:30. Leave the back door open, though, for deliveries, bread, milk, stuff like that.
Uh-huh. What if you could give us a description of the man?
Well, sure. Like I said, he was old. Say around 70, around in there.
Uh-huh. About how tall was he?
I'd say maybe 5'7", not much more than that.
How much did he weigh, would you know?
Not much. Maybe 125.
How about his complexion?
Real tan, like he'd been out in the sun a lot. Face was all wrinkled.
How about the color of his eyes?
Blue. Real blue.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about his clothes?
A real bum. Had on this old overcoat, brown, all frayed, ragged around the sleeves. Had a patch on the right elbow. Patch looked like it was
kind of dark serge material.
Was he wearing a hat?
Yeah, blue. All beat up. You could see the dirt around the brim.
Mm-hmm. How about his shirt and trousers?
Blue striped shirt and old kind of brown pants, no press. Looked like he was getting ready to jump in them. Real seedy.
Yes, sir. Did he wear glasses?
No, he didn't.
Was he clean shaven, or did he wear a mustache?
Well, he had about a 4 or 5 day old growth of beard, white.
I see. Did he have any marks or scars that you could see?
No, nothing like that. At least not that I could see.
How about the gun? Was it a revolver or an automatic?
Well, it looked like an automatic. Might have been a .45. I didn't look too close at that.
Yeah. Did he have any sort of an accent when he talked to you?
No, nothing like that.
All right, Mr. Alden. Joe, I'll get the description out.
Right, thanks. Mr. Alden, did the man say anything to you that might help identify him?
No, not that I can think of. He kept telling me that he was real sorry he had to do this. Said, I'm really sorry, but I have to have the money. I have to. Kept asking me if I understood. I told him no. He said that someday I would. Real weird. Kept apologizing while he robbed me.
I see. You the owner here, are you?
No, I'm just the manager. The owner's Mr. Wood. He's going to be real mad when he hears about this. Second time in 3 months we've been held up. Getting a little tiring. A couple more times the insurance company isn't going to stand for.
Yes, sir. Do you usually have that much money in the store?
Most of the weekends, yeah. You see, a lot of our stuff is pretty expensive. This is about the only store in the neighborhood that's open over Sunday. We get a lot of trade. Weekend business usually runs between $3,000 and $5,000.
Mm-hmm. About how many employees are there in the store?
3 all told. We stay open until 2:30 in the morning. I come in the morning and work until noon. Hank comes in, then there's 2 of us until 6, and John comes in. He works on through. Once in a while, Mr. Wood comes in himself and we get busy.
Uh-huh. Wonder if I could have their names and addresses.
Oh, sure. They weren't involved in it, I'm sure of that.
Well, we have to check them out anyway, Mr. Alden.
Yeah, I suppose so. But I tell you, he knew what he was doing, the way he moved. The way he knew just when to come in. This fellow's done that sort of thing before. Trying to say he was sorry about taking the money. He wasn't fooling anybody. No, sir, not a soul. Real bum, seedy, you know?
Yes, sir.
All that baloney about how he had to have the money wasn't any other way. He wasn't sorry, not at all.
Yeah, well, he probably will be. 9:30 a.m. Frank and I started a canvass of the immediate vicinity. None of the store owners in the area had seen anyone answering the description of the hold-up man. None of them had seen any suspicious cars in the area. We asked the liquor store manager to go with us to the city hall to look at the mug books. He called the store owner, and when he arrived, we drove downtown. The victim went through the mug books on known hold-up men, but failed to make an identification. A local and an APB were gotten out on the suspect. We asked the stats office to make a run on the MO used, and they came back with 14 possibles. It took us 2 days to check them out. They led us nowhere. The papers caught on to the story, and letters began to pour in with advice and tips. On Monday, March 17th, a full week after the robbery, Frank and I had lunch and checked back into the office.
See the afternoon papers, Joe?
Yeah, pretty funny, huh?
Yeah, they're sure taking up the story. Everybody got a different idea of who the old guy is and why he did it. Have you read some of the stories?
Yeah, sure. The only thing is, a lot of people seem to think the old guy's a real Robin Hood. Now, that's all right, but they forget that he walked in that store with a gun. Wasn't anybody to say that he wouldn't have pulled the trigger if somebody got in his way.
Yeah. I'll sure be glad when we get him and find out what it's all about.
I get it. Robbery Friday. Yes, ma'am, it is. No, ma'am. No, ma'am, we haven't caught him yet. What was that? Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh. All right, would you give me that address again? Yes, I have it. Yes, ma'am. All right, thank you. There's another one.
What's that?
Landlady runs a place out on 9th Street. Yeah. Says she's got a tenant that she's sure is the old fellow we're looking for.
How come?
Says all the old guy does is stay up in his room. The other day, the landlady's daughter went upstairs for something. Tenant chased her down the stairs, yelling at her to stay away from his room, all that sort of thing. He was tired of people not respecting his rights, the rights of an old man, something like that. I couldn't get it all on the phone. The description she gave him pretty much matches the one we got.
What do you figure?
Well, we got no choice. We'll check it out. 1:58 p.m. Frank and I got to the rooming house on 9th Street. It was a large 4-story building. We talked to the landlady, and she gave us what information she could. She told us that the tenant's name was Roger Dietrich. She told us that he'd lived in the building for the past 8 years. She went on to tell us that he had some sort of a private income and that he rarely left his room. The landlady explained that earlier the same morning, her 11-year-old daughter had gone to the attic to get some old newspapers, and that on the way she'd run into Mr. Dietrich. The tenant had yelled at her and told her that as long as he was paying rent on the room, he wouldn't have anybody snooping around. We checked and found that he got no mail except the single letter a month with the income check. 2:30 p.m. Frank and I went up to the 4th floor and knocked at the door. You want to try it again?
Yeah.
Go away. I don't want him. Go away.
Mr. Dietrich?
Who is it?
Police officers, we'd like to talk to you.
Just a minute.
Who'd you say you were?
Police officers, we'd like to talk to you.
Oh, what are your names?
My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Uh-huh. I guess it's all right. Come in.
Thanks, sir.
Well, guess it's about that thing this morning, huh?
Sir?
Why, you don't have to play cagey with me. I know that she called you, the old busybody. That bat kid of hers is just like her. He's always snooping. Well, there wasn't anything to it. The kid come up here and was snooping around trying to find out what I was doing. I'm not ready yet.
Well, what do you mean, sir, not ready?
No, the book's not finished yet. It will be in another year. And the whole world can see it. Maybe mend their ways. Give them something to hope to avoid what's coming.
Well, sir, that's not why we're here.
Don't lie to me. I know all about you. I know that you'd be around. You're trying to stop me. I knew it. I knew it all the time. You see that stack of magazines over there?
Yeah?
Every copy of Life magazine ever printed, right from the first. I keep track, you know. I use it for research.
Well, I don't quite understand, Mr. Dietrich.
That's from my book.
Oh, yeah.
Going to be in 5 volumes called The Evils of the Machine Age and Its Effect on Mankind. 5 volumes, yes, sir, 5 volumes. Got the first 4 finished. Working on the last one now. That's how I knew you were coming. I worked it out on the charts. Mm-hmm.
Well, we'd like to talk to you about what you were doing a week ago, sir.
Oh, you would? Oh, well. Well, yes, I figured on that. I knew that you'd be checking me. I knew it. I saw it in the chart. I'm getting close now. Well, it's going to sit up and take notice. Sit right up.
Yes, sir. Did you go out last Monday?
Monday? What? Yes. I went out to get some supplies. I got them come right back.
Would you tell us what time of day that was?
Oh, night, dear sir. I always go out at night.
Yes, sir. Where'd you get these? What are these, supplies?
Well, that's a little place down the street. I always buy things there. Very nice, very nice.
Yes, sir. And the man down there would be able to tell us if you were there, wouldn't he?
Oh, sure, yes. Him and me had a talk about my book. I was really interested. We talk all the time. I just finished volume 4, you know, about what's going to happen if the machine is allowed to continue. Oh, it's going to be terrible.
I beg your pardon?
The way the world's going. All these atom bombs. Now the hydrogen bomb. Going to blow the world right away. Even if they stop that, things aren't going to be the same. They're all going to be different.
All right.
You just betcha. You know what kids are going to look like 1,000 years from now?
Well, sir, I imagine pretty much the same way they do now, huh?
Yes, sir, and that's just where you're wrong. Check out the picture right here. That's volume 4. You know, this volume 4. I'll get it. There you are. See? I drew it up myself.
Yeah. Well, what is it?
Well, you see, that's the way we're all going to look. You see there? See?
Yeah.
That large hair, all brains, little bitty legs. That's from that we won't be doing any walking, you see, just riding all the time. One great big eye right in the middle of the head, and the right arm fit only for eating breakfast food that makes noises and turning on a television set, you see?
Oh.
It's clever. Yes, sir. That's what the chart says we're going to look like if we all eat atom bombs.
Yes, sir. I wonder if you'd mind coming downtown with us.
In an automobile?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm afraid not. You see, I don't believe in them. They're not going to last, you see.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Dietrich, but we have to ask you to go with us.
Police business, huh?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Well, I don't like it, but I guess I got no choice. That right?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Well, all right. That way. Might as well ride an automobile. Won't be around long, you know. They'll just fade right out of existence.
Is that right?
Yeah. Tell you how it's going to happen in my book.
Uh-huh.
Volume 5.
3:01 p.m. We drove Roger Dietrich down to the city hall and checked him through R&I. We found no record on him. We got in touch with the hold-up victim, Henry Alden, and asked him to come down to the city hall to see if he could identify the suspect. He got to the robbery squad room at 4:15 p.m.
No, I'm sure of it. That's not the guy.
Well, what's all this about, anyway? What are you officers trying to do?
Well, it's all right, Mr. Dietrich. We're just conducting a routine investigation. It's all right now.
Oh, it is, huh?
Yes, sir. We can take you home now if you like.
In that police car?
Yes, sir.
Oh, how about this fella? He going too?
No, sir.
Oh, well, now, maybe I'll do just that. Would you mind dropping me off at Pershing Square? I'd like to listen to a speech. A friend of mine's making it this afternoon. Brilliant, man. Oh, my. He's already written 12 books. All on odds.
Sir?
ODDS, odds. Like, what are the chances of a comet falling on your house? Or what are the chances of a certain horse winning the Kentucky Derby? All things like that, you know. Brilliant man.
Yes, sir.
He's dead broke.
Is that right?
Yep. Spends all his money on research.
I get it. Robbery Friday. Yeah, Barnes. Uh-huh. Yeah. When'd you pick him up? Yeah. All right. No, we'll be right over.
Anything?
Yeah, Barnes over at the main jail says they got a drunk over there who's doing a lot of bragging.
What about?
Heisting the liquor store for $5,200. 4:30 p.m. We had Roger Dietrich taken to his home, and then Frank and I went over to the main jail. We talked to Officer Phil Barnes. He told us that an Arnold Jefferson had been picked up and booked for LAMC 4127A on the previous day. Barnes went on to say that this was Jefferson's 42nd arrest on drunk charges. We had the suspect brought to the interview room, and we talked to him.
All right, Jefferson, now what's all this about you holding up a liquor store?
What do you know about it?
You matched the description of the man who committed the robbery. The clothes there that you're wearing are like the ones the victim described. Now, how about it?
You figure you can prove it without me telling you?
Yeah, if Alden identifies you, we can.
Alden?
He's the man who was robbed.
He's outside now. We want him to take a look at you.
That won't be necessary. You got the right man.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. Chesterfield is best for you. Listen to this report. It's a report never before made about a cigarette.
Smoked day after day by a group of people smoking from 10 to 40 cigarettes a day for a full year. Here's Chesterfield's record. A medical specialist giving this group thorough examinations every 2 months for a full year reports no adverse effects to their nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like that? You'll find Chesterfield's best for you. They're much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste. And for your pocketbook, Chesterfield is America's best cigarette buy.
Chesterfield, years ahead of them all.
We had the victim, Henry Alden, look at the suspect, Arnold Jefferson. He identified him positively as the man who had held up the liquor store. We took Jefferson back to the city hall and checked him through R&I. He had no felony record. 7:30 p.m. We took him to the interrogation room.
I knew you'd get me. Knew it all the time.
Is that right?
Sure. I knew it even before I held up the store. You know, I didn't really want to do it. You know, I really meant it when I told him I was sorry about doing it. Really meant it.
Mm-hmm.
Guess maybe you find that kind of hard to believe.
Well, suppose you tell us about it, huh?
Yeah. I guess the best way would be to start from the beginning, huh?
Yeah.
First thing you should understand is I think basically that I'm an honest man. All my life I've never cheated anyone or taken anything that didn't belong to me. I've tried to live pretty much by the golden rule.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes, maybe, lots of times, it'd be a little hard to do, but I did my best.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I was born in the Middle West. Tiny little town. You've probably never heard of it. Isn't on most of the map. Went to school there through the 8th grade. Then I decided that I wanted to see the rest of the country. Worked my way through every one of the 48, every one of them.
Uh-huh.
Did a lot of things, met a lot of people.
Is that right?
Well, all that time, all my life, I never did anything real big. Nothing that I could ever tell anybody about and be proud. Nothing to tell people about.
Yes, sir.
I'm 72 years old now. That's a long time to live and never do anything big. Long time.
Mm-hmm.
Came downtown one day, sat in the plaza in the sun, met some real nice people. People like me, people without much reason. Got to coming down every day, sitting and talking, exchanging ideas. Found a lot of good friends. Most of them were alone. And I guess being alone made us members of the same club. Got to be sort of a lodge, 17 of us. Used to meet, talk about things, the way the world was going, how things look for the future, all things like that. Friends.
Yes, sir. How'd you get along all this time? How'd you live?
Oh, I get a little pension from the state, enough to get along on. I don't need much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one day I got to thinking about how I didn't really have anything big to remember. That's when I decided.
You mean on the robbery?
Yep. Decided that if I could get my hands on a lot of money, a lot of it all at once, I could have something.
Yeah?
So I started to figure. First off, I had to figure what kind of a store to rob. Had to be one where I could get enough money. Thought about it quite a while. When I had that figured, I picked out the store. And then I, cased. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I cased the store. Figured how I'd do it. Then I figured that I'd have to have a gun.
Yeah.
Got one of those little plastic ones. Bought the dime store, fixed it up with shoe black. Couldn't hurt anybody, just plastic. Looked real, but couldn't hurt anyone.
Of course, the victim wouldn't know that, would he?
Yeah, I thought considerable about that. Worried about it a lot. About how if there was any trouble, it'd make it hard with just a plastic gun. Oh, not that I wanted to hurt anybody. I didn't. But I got to thinking what would happen if somebody got scared and thought it was real. Could be trouble there.
Mm-hmm.
No, now, before I go any further, I want you to know that right at this point, I knew I was doing wrong. I knew it. Knew that I'd have to go to jail for what I did. Knew it, and it didn't matter. Had to be that way.
Well, now, if you knew that, why'd you go ahead with the robbery?
Well, wasn't any other way to get the money. At least none that I could think of. Believe me, I tried to think of one.
All right, go ahead.
And I held up the place, took the money, and then I made the man get in the closet. Did that so he wouldn't try to follow me. I was sorry about it. Tried to tell him, but I don't think he really believed it. Don't think he did.
What'd you do then?
I took a bus out to the airport. Thought about taking a cab, but then I figured that I'd want to save as much money as I could so as to have it later.
Yeah.
I inquired around out there at the airport and found a place where I could rent an airplane. I paid for it in advance so there wouldn't be any trouble. Hired it to go to San Francisco. Round trip, both ways.
You hired an airplane?
Yep. Big one. Carried 18 people. That's what I needed. Real comfortable seats, 2 motors. Had a girl painted on the front. From the war, I guess.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I took the bus back to town, and I started walking around the plaza. Rounded up all 17 of my friends, whole bunch of them. Talked to them all. Guys who had been nice to me, even if there wasn't anything I could do for them. Told them to meet me at 1st and Main, right by the fountain in front of the city hall that night. Told them that I was going to throw a party. A party they'd never forget. Well, we got together that night and took a cab out to the airport. Well, as a matter of fact, we took 4 cabs. Had to show the drivers that I had the money for the tickets. Guess they thought we was going to try to get a free ride. But anyway, when I showed them the money, they drove us out. Give them a good tip. Nice fellas.
Mm-hmm.
Got on the airplane and flew up to San Francisco. Wonderful. Got into the city and then we started. Really had a time. Lasted 3 days. Wasn't anything we didn't see, nothing we didn't do. 3 days of it. Real living. Everything was on me, paid for it all. Went to the best places, ate the best food, drank finest wines. Really lived.
Where'd you stay when you were in San Francisco?
Hotel down on Howard. Not the richest in town, but real nice. Clean rooms.
All right, go ahead.
Well, about the time that I thought we'd stayed long enough, we all got on the plane and come back. Got in Wednesday morning. Took cabs downtown, then we all went to breakfast. Had a real whopper. Kind of a farewell for the whole party. After I settled up with the waitress, I only had $1.75 left. Give it to her for a tip. Sure made her happy. I don't guess she makes much down there.
Yeah. Well, did any of your friends know where you'd gotten the money for this party?
No. You see, when I first got the idea, I told them that I had a real rich brother. Told him that he died and that I was his only relative, that all the money would get to me. I figured that I could sort of set things up by doing that. Seemed to work all right. None of them said anything.
Uh-huh. You remember the man you chartered the airplane from?
Oh, sure. Real nice fella. I got his card. I kept it, sort of a souvenir. I can give it to you if you want it.
Yeah, we'll have to have it. You ever done any big time?
Me? Oh, no. Just drunk arrests. Lots of them.
Yeah.
Big thing about this is that I wish there was some way to keep the boys from finding out so they wouldn't have to know. Of course, I know that I'm not going to see him again, but just the same, what are they going to think? How are they going to take this when they hear about it? I don't know. I sure was wrong. Real wrong. How long will they put me in jail for, you guys know?
Well, it depends.
Depends on what?
What the court says.
Oh. Still have to go to prison, though, huh?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Mm-hmm. Well, I haven't got much left. Guess no matter what they say, it's going to be life for me.
Well, sir, we're not the ones to decide that.
Yes, I know. You guys been real nice. In a way, I'm glad it's over. Like I said before, I knew you'd get me. I knew it all the time right from the beginning. Tried to figure out how it'd be when you did get me. What I'd say, how I'd act. Wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. Not hard at all. One thing, though.
Yeah, what's that?
I kind of wish I hadn't done it. I really do. I keep thinking of my friends, how they're going to take it.
Yeah. You want to go?
You're going to take me back now, huh?
Yeah, I'm afraid we have to.
Going to put me back in the tank?
No, not this time.
Upstairs?
Yeah, upstairs.
That means I'll have a cell all to myself. Be nice. I'd like to be alone.
All right. You all set, Jefferson?
Yeah.
This way.
72 years, nothing to show for it. Nothing. Only one thing I can really say I did with my life.
What's that, Jefferson?
Wasted 72 years.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On July 24th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. I hope you'll remember the facts George Fenneman reported to you earlier. Recent chemical analyses give an index of good quality for the country's 6 leading brands. The index of good quality table, a ratio of high sugar to low nicotine, showed Chesterfield quality highest, 15% higher than its nearest competitor, and Chesterfield quality 31% higher than the average of the 5 other leading brands. Now, I'd like you to try Chesterfields today. I know they're best for me. I'm sure you'll find Chesterfields are best for you.
Arnold Peter Jefferson was tried and found guilty of 1 count of robbery in the 2nd degree. He was sentenced to the state penitentiary for the term as prescribed by law. Robbery in the 2nd degree is punishable by imprisonment for a period of not less than 1 year.
Ladies and gentlemen, we wish to thank the editors of Real Magazine for their article High Tension on TV in the April issue now on sale.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Rodman, Ralph Moody. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis Show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield's. Either regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfield's much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tonight, it's Adventure with Barry Craig on NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the American Broadcasting Company brings to its entire network one of radio's most unusual programs, Pat Novak, for hire.
Sure, I'm Pat Novak, for hire. That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak, for hire. If you're trying to make a living down on the waterfront in San Francisco, you gotta run things like a smorgasbord. You take a little of everything you can get your hands on. Even then, it's a bumpy ride, because down here everybody tries to pad his part. Oh, I rent boats and do anything else good men pay bad men to do. You don't get many gold stars that way, but you pay the bar bill, and it's about as safe as a closet full of tigers. The only way you can make friends down on the waterfront is to die. I found that out Tuesday night. I went to the wrestling matches and watched Gorgeous George throw some guy around like a poker chip in Tijuana. I was in the middle of the crowd on my way out of the place when this guy stepped up behind me and started talking.
You got company, Novak.
Huh?
I said you got company. On both sides.
No. Did your friend get his face at a fire sale, too?
Can't all be pretty. Keep walking, Novak.
Is a gun in my back supposed to help?
That's up to you. Straight ahead and out the side door.
You got the right growl, but the wrong guy, mister.
You keep working your mouth, but nothing comes out. All right, this way.
What are your plans? Shall we take the kids?
The car right down here.
Now, look, Big Shot. In a drugstore, I get all the mystery I want for 2 bits.
You want things explained?
Yeah, besides Shovelhead here, I don't understand a thing.
We just want Joe Denine.
I never heard of him either.
We just want Joe Denine.
All right, you can have him. You're welcome. See his wife. See anybody you like. I don't even know the guy.
You're full of talk. As soon as you want to make it the right kind, you can go home. Here we are, into the back seat. You drive, Eddie.
You boys run on. I'll grab a cab.
Get in! You're not going to take a boat. That's it. Just be a good mouse.
You got a lot of time to waste it this way, mister.
You're too gaddy, Novak.
And you're too tough, Junior.
And this noise is beginning to give me a headache. Oh! Let's go, Eddie. Novak's going to sulk a while.
He could have taken 3 bases on that wallet. I spread out on the back seat like a bowl of cake batter and tried to think of a guy named Joe Denine. There was nobody on my list for that name. But the way these 2 gunsels acted, he was supposed to be a blood relative. I could hear him talking dimly, and I tried to follow the conversation, but it was like trying to put a smoke ring in your pocket. I don't know how long the tour lasted. It must have been about 30 or 40 minutes when the car pulled up and the big gunner started to yank me.
Wake up! Wake up, sweet boy! Come on, it's time for your 10 o'clock feeding.
Yeah. Wait till I borrow some legs, huh?
Come on, you never looked better. All right. Down the dock here.
Are we playing a new game or hunting a guy named Denine?
That's right.
Good. Now I know the rules.
Well, is that your boat, Novak?
It's got my name on it.
Is that your boat, Novak?
Well, what's it look like? The Normandy? Of course it's my boat. Who threw the blood all over it? One of your friends?
Maybe Denine.
Now, look, you better back up and start a recap. I never heard of Denine, and from the size of his friends, I'm just about as happy.
You mean he didn't rent a boat off you?
If he used that boat, he stole it, mister. I closed up tonight at 7.
You make it sound good.
It is good. I've been off the waterfront 4 hours. In the meantime, somebody takes my boat and gets it chock full of holes and sends you around a week. Who is Denine?
A friend.
I don't blame either of you for hanging on to one.
We were supposed to meet him at your landing at 10. He was going to rent one of your boats, and we were going to meet him at 10.
There's the boat. You want to pay the damages?
We came early and found the boat piled up, blood all over, and no Denine. You got any ideas?
Maybe he cut himself shaving. Dragged the bay, mister. I don't know your guy, but somebody did. They met him out there in the bay and cut him down.
You sound happy.
Now, look, I don't care one way or another, except he used my boat. If he wanted to die, he should have hired a Davenport. That's all I know. I never heard of Joe Denine.
Yeah.
You and your friend here better go sap somebody else.
Sure, Novak. We'll look around, but hang on to your cards because you still got a hand in this game.
Thanks, Mother. I'll remember that.
Watch out, Eddie! Watch out! You all right, Eddie? Nice curve, Novak.
You're wrong, mister. My friends ride the cable car.
You made a bum pitch, Novak. Nice one.
All right, let go. You can't afford to fight now.
I want you for Eddie, Novak.
Sorry, fellow. The water's going to be cold.
Hey, what's the trouble? Trouble going on?
No. Whatever gave you that idea?
I'm a night watchman over here. That fellow lying on the dock there dead?
Well, if he's not, he's going to catch cold.
What about the other fellow? Maybe he can't swim.
What do you care? He doesn't.
Oh. They come here looking for something?
Yeah.
Guess they didn't find it, huh?
Somebody's satisfied. They were trying to find the guy that came out of that boat down there.
Oh, you mean the funny-looking guy?
Huh?
A guy got out of that boat a few hours ago, all banged up. I think he was in a fight.
Yeah?
Sure, somebody shot him. I think he was in a fight.
Where'd he go?
Down the dock toward the street. He asked about a fella and went down the dock.
Oh.
He asked about a fella named Novak. Do you know him?
Yeah, but I'll do my best to forget. wasn't going to be easy to forget. I knew there was a guy wandering around San Francisco waiting to jog my memory. And before long, somebody was going to find out those two dead guys weren't doing light housekeeping down on the dock. Once homicide smelled that red meat, they'd turn Inspector Hellman loose. That's like pouring a bottle of cyanide in a wedding cake. Oh, he's a smart cop with a heart the size of a full-grown pea. I got off the dock in a hurry and I went home. When I left, the watchman was still standing there waiting to check in the next murder and smiling like a vulture with the first option on a massacre. Well, I had to get home and look sweet in case Hellman showed up. When I opened the door to my place, Hellman was on the couch with a pencil in one hand and a movie magazine in the other.
Hello, Novak. You busy?
No, I'll just stand here and watch you. A little more of that pencil and movie magazine routine, and you'll break out in a cold sweat.
Where have you been?
Staying out of other people's apartments?
I got an answer for that.
You haven't got an answer for anything, Hellman. You can't fill in the return address envelope. What's on your mind?
Can I make a call?
No, not to play cat and mouse. If you want to know about that bloodbath down on the dock, say so.
Yeah?
They're close strangers. I never saw either of them before.
You're getting loose around the mouth, Novak.
Huh?
That's right. If some of your playmates stub their toes, it's news to me. You better tell me, though. It'll save time.
Well, what's the use? If a fact walked up and sat in your lap, you'd lose it.
Suit yourself. Have a drink?
Yeah, I will. Where's the bottle opener?
Huh?
The bottle opener. You got teeth for it. I need a bottle opener, Hellman.
I don't know. Try the kitchen.
All right.
Try the light.
Well.
About this guy on the floor, Novak. Don't tell him to move because I don't think he can.
When I looked down at the guy on the floor, I felt like a burlap sack from the neck down. He was a big guy lying on his back, and you got the idea he took it hard. He didn't like the way the boat came in. Because he wasn't relaxed the way most people are when they're on the prowl for a harp. He was about as rigid as a coil of wet line on a steamer deck. His face was pockmarked and the color of an old piece of abalone. Hellman was standing over him, and the shadow cut across the lower part of his face. It almost blocked out the gun, a big .38 lying about 4 feet away. The rest of the kitchen was a mess. It was torn up worse than a Japanese lantern in a high wind. Hellman was leaning against the cabinet and smiling, like the banker in a crooked blackjack game.
Does he belong to you, Novak?
No, he's not pretty enough. Roll him over. We'll find out who he is.
I've already been through his stuff.
Wipe your hands. The green still shows.
His name is Joe Denine.
You sure we're popular, Joe.
Why?
The scavenger hunt. Every garnop in town's been looking for him.
I figured you for the prize.
2 of them picked me up and lugged me down to the waterfront.
Yeah?
I told you about them. They ran into bad weather.
Why'd they take you?
Because I looked like a bird dog, maybe. I don't know why, Hellman. They just took me. In the meantime, Sunshine here took my boat out and got shot up.
And he came up here to borrow your adhesive tape.
That's all I know, Hellman. He must have figured me for a part.
I got the same trouble, Novak. That gun on the floor helps, too.
That gun's second lead at best. I never saw it before.
It's a murder gun. How'd it get here?
I don't know.
Maybe the scullery maid left it. Come on, Novak. You're in the spot. You better start digging.
If I do any digging, the dirt's going to go in your face, Hellman.
You've got a nice face, too, Novak.
You better buy a big shield, Hellman. You've got a lot to hide behind.
Stop beefing. You're the host. What about the safety deposit box?
You're ahead of me on that one. You ought to have your picture taken.
He was talking about a safety deposit box when I got here.
It was alive when you got here?
That's right. Show more joy. The neighbors heard the shooting and phoned in.
Well, who did it? What did he say?
He said, tough luck, copper. That's all he said. Something about a safety deposit box and tough luck, copper.
Oh, that's real fine. You let him die clammed up. You're smart, Hellman. You let him off with a third-rate tagline.
You're lucky, Novak. This way it's going to take me 12 hours to wrap you up. I'm going to run that gun through and check a couple of things, and I'll be on your tail.
I want to see you follow something up, Hellman. With that big nose of yours, you couldn't find a moose in the bathtub.
Look, Novak, you're a small-time waterfront punk. You've been lucky so far, but you're still a punk. I don't like you, and I'm going to hang you by your heels. I'm going to get you. If it's the last thing I ever do, I'm going to get you.
Hellman, if I thought you were on the level about that, I'd give myself up. When Hellman left, things were about as dim as a glowworm at high noon. All the leads were tucked away in the morgue. Those 2 stiffs on the dock checked out with nothing but a grunt, and the guy up in my place left a .38 and some mild regrets. I had the funny feeling there was a lead up there in that apartment, but I couldn't get a hold of it. Something waiting to be understood, the way a thing gets balanced on the edge of your brain, half in, half out, like the melody but not the words of an old song. Well, I didn't know where to turn. I was hunting for the shoreline on a dark night. So I looked up the only honest guy I know, an ex-doctor and a boozer by the name of Jocko Madigan. Oh, he's all right, but he's got the idea that all liquid that isn't 100 proof lacks character. I finally found him in a little bar down near Union Square. He was talking to a blonde girl and a sailor when I walked in.
Ah, Patsy, you find me in the late October of my life, trying to recapture a few April moments.
Yes, Jocko, I got to talk to you.
That's what I like about good whiskey. It makes you too sentimental to be mad at yourself for growing old.
Now, look, I'm in a jam. Lay off that stuff long enough to listen.
Patsy, you underrate the grape. It's a terrible mistake. It's thrown off the whole perspective of history.
All right, Jocko.
Like that story about young Washington and the cherry tree. They blame him for that, but actually it was his first hint of future greatness.
Yeah.
They talk about vandalism, whereas the truth of the matter is he was just preparing a few Manhattans for the family. The whole perspective of history has been altered, Patsy.
Oh, stop it, will you? I'm in trouble. Will you help me out?
Yes, if you'll allow me to get a word in edgewise. What kind of trouble?
There's a dead guy up at my place.
Oh, I don't know why you're in trouble. Think of his bleak outlook on things.
Hellman's nosing around and he thinks I did it.
Did you?
No, he got shot in relays, but he picked my place to quit. And there are 2 other dead guys down on the dock.
What were their practices?
They strong-armed me about 10 o'clock and took me down to the waterfront. We were supposed to find a guy named Joe Denine, but they looked too ripe to somebody.
How about Denine?
He's that guy up at my place. When Hellman got there, he was muttering about a safety deposit box and staring at a big .38. Oh, come on, you gotta help me, Jocko.
Yes, where would you like me to spread the ashes?
I want you to get out and find out everything you can about Joe Denine, will you?
He's your house guest. Why don't you go?
Hit the Chronicle and the Examiner morgues and try to find out if he has a safety deposit box in any of the banks, huh?
Where are you going? Before prison, I mean.
I'm going down and lie in Hellman's shadow until something turns up. I need every minute, Jocko, so hurry.
Well, I'll need a quick one for the road first.
You'll get going right now, Jocko.
Patsy, you have a defiant attitude for a man on the doorstep to the next world. Try to be sweeter until you discover your normal disposition will do. You can start by paying my bar bill.
All right. Will you hurry? How much do you owe?
About $11.
What have you been doing all night? Are you crazy?
I may owe $11, Patsy, but so far I've had a better night than you have. Good night, lover.
I had to get started on some answers because once Hellman checked on those 2 guys at the dock, he'd go to work on me. He'd keep hacking away and finally cut me down like a piece of flint in a cigarette lighter. Well, after I left Jocko, I started down to headquarters. It was a little after midnight and the streets were wet and silent, except that now and then you could hear a woman's laughter coming out of the dark as you passed along. That's the only sound the night keeps whole. Well, I was cutting down Leavenworth Street when it came to me. I knew what my lead was up in that apartment. It didn't hit me suddenly. It kept shoving in like a piece of old seaweed on the water, moving in and out and finally brushing up against you. If that guy was alive when Hellman got there, that meant that maybe he could have phoned somebody. And if he did, then they'd have a record of it down at the desk. Well, I got back to my place and asked the operator. Well, it feels good when you got the right sweepstakes ticket. She said a call had been put in from my place at 10:15 to the Ambrose Hotel, room 204. Well, at last things were beginning to make sense. They must have made sense for about 5 seconds because Hellman called. The girl handed me the phone and he started in.
I got news for you, Novak. We checked the prints on that murder gun. They don't add.
Take your troubles to the chaplain, Hellman. I got my quota.
Yeah. You got fancy friends, too, Novak. The prints belong to Jake Fidello.
Yeah, how do you spell that?
F-I-D... You're cute, aren't you, Novak?
To Jake Fidello, I'm nothing. Who is he?
Cheap punk like you, Novak. He's working on a 20-year stretch in Alcatraz.
Huh?
Yeah, Alcatraz. So there's no tie between the murder gun and the murder.
Maybe Fidello bought himself a 2-day furlough.
We already checked. The guard saw him in his cell at 11 o'clock tonight reading a book.
Guards pay the rent, too, Hellman. My boat was out in that bay tonight, and it came back full of bullets and blood. Now you're trying to tell me there's no connection. You better find out if a guy can skip Alcatraz for a few hours.
I'll wait, Novak. Maybe you can tell me how it's done before long.
Well, nothing matched now. It was like the chorus girl's legs in a cheap nightclub. If Jake Fidello was smart enough to beat Alcatraz for a couple of hours, then he wasn't dumb enough to leave that murder gun behind. And what was the connection between Denine and Jake Fidello? And who lived at the Ambrose Hotel? Well, I went up there to find out. It was a small place up near the top of Telegraph Hill, and when I rode by, I could see Alcatraz sitting out on the bay, a lonely island full of birthdays. The Ambrose turned out to be a high-toned little joint, the sort of place where the welcome mat's printed in Old English. I went up to 204. The card in the door said Frederica Sims. I knocked, and when the door opened, it was like shaking hands with a flamethrower. She was a tall number, and she screamed Final Edition all over. She stood in the doorway for a minute and swayed in a nice, contented way like a snake on the right diet. And when she said hello, you wanted to hand her your arm and say, twist.
Good evening.
Yeah. My name's Novak.
I'll remember. Won't you come in?
It'll save an argument.
Good. I hope you don't mind crowds, Mr. Novak.
She means me, Mr. Novak. I'm Mike Trevor.
And I'm Freddie Sims.
Well, that brings us up to date.
A drink would do so much more. You need a drink, Mr. Novak. You look a little dusty.
Don't mind her, Novak. She addresses all people as peasants.
All right, now suppose you two landowners tell me who killed Joe Denine.
You know, Mike, I don't think he wants the drink.
We'll all celebrate when you get around to Denine.
I don't think we know a man by the name of Denine, particularly if he's dead.
Yes, I'm sure we wouldn't like him.
Come on, let's drop the smart talk. Come on, back in the saloon. A guy by the name of Joe Denine died all over my kitchen tonight.
Don't get tough, Novak. If you missed your dinner, all right, but don't come up here screaming about your dead friend.
Now, look, I'm about 10 feet behind a phone call. Denine put in a call for this number just before he died.
Then it was whimsy, Novak, or anything else you'd like to call it. We don't know the man. You can mull it over on your way downstairs.
Yeah, and you can use the time to think over that safety deposit box.
What safety deposit
box?
box?
You're jumping your cue, lady. Make it more casual, huh?
Do you know what you're talking about, Novak?
You think so?
I'll tell you what I'll do, Novak. I'll buy that key from you.
You got a deal, unless you want to pay it off with money.
You mean Joe Denine?
That's right. I'm running front on a murder rap. You want that key. If you want it bad enough, come on down to headquarters and we'll make a trade.
No, thanks, Novak. You didn't look bright, but I thought you might be hiding your brains somewhere. This way you lose money.
You lose even more, Trevor. I was going to ease you into that murder rap, but the offer's out. You'll have to struggle in, and you'll be too tired to get out.
Can I loan either of you boys a pickaxe?
No, thanks. Well, I'm going to run along. Can I drop you anyplace, Novak?
I'll stay.
You know, I didn't think I could drop you anyplace. Novak, you ought to sell that gleam in your eye. Some airport could use it. Good night, Freddie. Be careful.
Good night, Mike. I can take care of myself.
Yes, if you try. That's all I was worried about.
Your friend reads the wrong books.
I'll bet you never wasted your time that way. Why don't you sit down on the couch here and have a drink, Patsy? Now that the argument's over.
Is it?
Well, at least we need a drink.
Yeah, sure. That'll make the talk come easy. About that key.
You think I want the key?
Like nothing else in the world.
No, that's a little rash, Patsy. But I do want it. I want it very badly.
Those are famous last words, lady. You heard the round with Mike. The prices haven't changed.
Mm-hmm. That's too expensive, darling. Here's your drink. What are you looking at, Patsy?
You? The way you slide around on that couch?
Yes.
Yeah. You belong in the Everglades.
If I were there, Patsy, I think you're the kind of a guy who'll be right around the next bend.
You sound pretty sure. That's a good way to lose your shirt.
I am sure, Patsy. I know that about us. We belong in the swamp.
Yeah.
We belong together. Because we're the same kind. We're neither good nor bad. We just are. And that has to do.
You make it sound corny, baby.
Try to hide, darling, but I can see you peeking through your fingers. I can see you awfully good from here, Patsy.
Watch out. You're backing into a corner, Angel.
But I've got you with me.
Make some more noise, huh? I like it.
It's true. I've got you with me, haven't I, Patsy?
I can still struggle.
I'll bet you don't struggle good. I'll bet you don't struggle good at all, Patsy.
I still got that key, baby.
Yes, you see.
It stays at my place.
I could eat you, Patsy. You're wonderful.
Yeah.
You never hand me my drink. The soda at the end of the table?
Sure.
That's it, darling.
It doesn't pay much to fall in love. I spent enough time on her rug to work my way into the design. And when I finally came to, it was morning. There was nobody around the place, so I started for home. On the way, I tried to fill in the blind spots, but it was like trying to match pearls in the dark. Somebody had killed Denine for the key to that safety deposit box, but where was the key? If the girl or Mike Trevor did it, then why were they still on the trail? Well, when I got to my apartment, the place was torn apart. Looked something like a mop closet after a New Year's Eve party. Jocko was sitting in the middle of the room listening to the water fizz.
Good morning. Where'd you get the bump on the head?
Romance. What'd you find out, Jocko?
Denine had lots of friends and enemies.
Yeah, one of them's Jake Fidello.
He's number one on the list. Denine had a brawl with Fidello 2 years ago. Jake promised to square the beef.
He's in a bad spot for it now.
Maybe. Denine has no safety deposit box.
Oh, that was my out.
Perhaps you can take up folk dancing in prison. I'll send you diagrams of new steps from time to time. Fidello has a safety deposit box, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's got a lot of money floating around somewhere.
Well.
And a lot of women doing the same thing.
We're getting a better shuffle now. Is the girl's name Freddie Sims?
That's right. Fidello loves her like the last 15 minutes of life. That's why he won't like it.
Get to the point, huh?
She's supposed to be waiting for him, but she's got married in Mexico to a guy named Mike Trevor, Fidello's best friend. Does it make sense?
No, it doesn't. Suppose Jake's found out about his sweetheart and best friend. Why would he kill Denine?
I don't know, except you'll find out, Patsy, that sometimes the difference between your best friend and your worst enemy is only a matter of opportunity.
Yeah, Novak talking.
How's the dent in your forehead?
Oh, you get around, Hellman.
Yeah, we picked her up at your apartment.
She tell you about that key?
A little. She made a confession, too.
She's generous.
Not to Mike Trevor. She pinned the whole thing on him and signed a statement. We're going to have to pick him up now. I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Why?
In case he wants to shoot somebody, I'm offering you.
Things were moving fast now. I sent Jocko down to start repair work on the boat, and Hellman picked me up 5 minutes later. We drove out Geary and turned on Van Ness. Oh, Hellman was real subtle. He stopped right in front of the rooming house where Mike Trevor was living. The girl had mapped it out for him. Trevor was in a first-floor room. It was a quiet neighborhood. But as we opened the front door and started in, I got the idea it was going to be a tough place to get any sleep for the next few minutes.
Down on the right side here. Stay ahead of me, Novak.
You're one copper who'll die in bed, Hellman.
Down the hall and be quiet. Yeah, this is it.
On this lap, you go first.
Stand back while I throw it open.
Kind of empty, Hellman.
Girl said he was here. What's that?
Your boy's up at the top of the stairs.
You see him?
Oh, he's not wearing neon pants. Go up and get him.
Come on down, Trevor. Your girl talks. Come on down and sign a confession.
I've got a better idea, Copper. You come up and hand me the pen.
All right, Novak.
Move over, Hellman. He's going to argue.
He's heading for the roof. Let's go.
Hold it, Hellman. If that door up there is locked, we'll run right through the barrel.
You get one more chance, Trevor. Come on down.
That roof door is locked.
All right, Copper, I'm coming down. Make a hole.
Now you got your hole, Trevor.
Yeah. Novak, you better get to that safety deposit box. Get there in a hurry. Before the girl.
Well, the city will lose him now, Hellman. Let's get to that safety deposit box.
Let her have the key. What do you care, Novak? She's Fidello's girl.
No. There's a queer twist here somewhere. How do you know what's in that box?
So, Fidello's in love with the girl. He's grateful. What do you care?
That's what makes it good. That's the way it is with love and gratitude. The love goes on, Hellman, but the gratitude changes. Well, the way things stood, there was only one place that key could be. I got to a phone and called Jocko. I told him to check out on the boat for a key somewhere on the floorboards. Jocko seemed happy when he said that some girl had come by 15 minutes ago and nosed around the boat for a while. Well, Hellman and I rushed down to the bank. When we got downstairs, Freddie was just starting into the vault.
Hello, Patsy. You look rested.
If you're on your way to that deposit box, you better think it over.
Can he stop me, Copper?
No, but we can hold the door until we check with Fidello.
Go ahead.
I don't think he's going to like it.
Oh, we'll have to see. I'll be back in a moment.
Let's go, Novak. We can hold the door upstairs.
No, let's hang around. I just want to see 18-karat greed when she opens that box.
There's the gratitude helmet.
Well, Patsy, I got the key, huh?
Well, you got everything, Eva.
How that night? I happened to win.
He beat you over the line by 20 minutes.
Well, that's an aspect. Let me know.
I'll try again. Because you don't rate him nicely. You're not worth anything Fidello ever had.
It's part of argument. I couldn't finish it.
I was wrong about one thing, Eva. When I said Fidello wouldn't like this. I think he will.
Yeah. You're a good kid.
Fidello was a thorough guy. The way he told out, but the right inning. Fidello found out about the girl and Mike Trevor, so he pulled a switch. He hired his enemy, Joe Denine, to do the job. Denine planted the bomb in the safety deposit box, and just to prove it was a square pitch, Fidello gave Denine was supposed to kill the girl and leave the key for Mike to blow his head off. And just to make it clean, Fidello got in touch with him and told him to look up Denine if anything happened to the girl. That way, he figured to knock up all three of them. But Mike jumped the gun. He started tailing Denine and shot him up out on the bank. He followed him to my place and killed him with the gun Denine was carrying. Denine clock, but he called the girl and told her there was a lot of money in that safety deposit box. Awfully big. But he said the girl finally double-crossed Mike Trevor and turned him in. Trevor killed those two guys on the pier, and he lost Denine in the fog. And when he drove up, a couple of jumpers along got scared. The question, what could that girl have said to Jocko to make him let her walk in and breeze out with that key? I mentioned that to Jocko, but he just smiled.
It brought you Pat Novak for Hire, starring Jack Webb. Pat Novak is directed and produced by William P. Rousseau. Jocko Madigan is played by Tudor Owen. Inspector Hellman is played by Raymond Burr. Music was composed and in our cast were Vaughn Fahey, Paul Avery, Harley Bear, and Herb Ellis. This program is being released to our worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. This is George Fenneman inviting you to be with us again next week, when over most of these same ABC stations will bring you Pat Novak for Hire. This program came to you from Hollywood. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield is best for you. First cigarette with premium quality in both regular and king size. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a robbery detail. A pair of hold-up men have been staging a series of robberies in your city. You have their description. You know their method of operation. Your job, get them.
Years ahead of them all.
Chesterfield is years ahead of them all.
The quality contrast between Chesterfield and other leading brands is a revealing story.
Recent chemical analyses give an index of good quality for the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. The index of good quality table, which is a ratio of high sugar to low nicotine, shows Chesterfield quality highest.
Chesterfield quality highest.
15% higher than its nearest competitor.
Chesterfield quality highest.
31% higher than the average of the 5 other leading brands.
Yes, Chesterfield is first with premium quality in both regular and king size.
Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this? Chesterfield.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, September 6th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. I was on my way into the office, and it was 8:02 a.m. when I got to room 27A. Robbery.
Joe, is that you?
Yeah. Did you just get in?
Yeah, a couple of minutes ago.
The last run from the stats office come in yet?
No, I called them. They said it'd be about 10. Hey, you look kind of beat.
Yeah, I had a little trouble sleeping last night.
Huh?
Went over this thing. Someplace the guys must have made a mistake. I can't figure it.
Yeah. I've been trying to figure an angle, too. Saw the skipper this morning.
What'd he say about it?
Nothing. Asked how we were doing. I told him we had a couple of things cooking. He didn't say anything. Guess he's getting plenty of heat from the front office. His pills are getting bigger.
Stomach's giving him trouble again, I guess.
Yeah, he had some this morning. Looked big enough for a horse. I never saw such big pills, Joe. He could hardly swallow them. Purple, too.
Well, 11 jobs in 3 months. All the same M.O., all the same descriptions. None of them add up to anything we can make.
Yeah. Skipper said he had a call from the insurance company that underwrote the jewelry store they hit last Thursday.
Yeah.
Said the guy was real nasty. Said if we couldn't clean it up, he was going to the police commission to get some action that way.
Robbery Friday. Who? Oh, yeah, Rod. Yeah, sure, I remember. How's it going? That's good. What? Yeah. Yeah, I guess we can come right down. All right, sure. Okay, Rod, thanks. We'll be right there. You remember Rod Nealon, the guy we nailed for robbery 5 years ago?
Nealon? Yeah, I know who you mean.
He wants to see us, says he's got some information.
Yeah?
About the guys we're after. For the past 3 months, a pair of hold-up men had been victimizing the owners of large jewelry stores and supermarkets. In each case, the descriptions of the 2 suspects was the same. Suspect number 1 was described as WMA, 30 to 35 years old, red hair, tall and lean. Suspect number 2 was described as WMA, 25 to 30 years old, 5'7", 120 pounds. Victims reported that the larger of the 2 bandits had a slight stutter, but neither of them had any visible marks or scars. In each instance, the method of operation the bandits used was the same. The 2 men would enter the store at about 10 a.m. The smaller of the 2 thieves would ask to use the telephone. He'd go to the rear of the store, and there he would produce a .32 caliber automatic. The other man would pull a sawed-off shotgun, and together, the 2 of them would tape the victim's hands and feet and lock them in a rear room. Then they'd rifle the safe and leave. None of the victims could tell us if the pair used a car. Everyone concerned had been shown mug books, but they were unable to make an identification. The M.O. had been run through the stats office, but after the possibles had been checked out, we had nothing. Communications had been gotten off to George Brereton up at CII, Sacramento, but they were unable to help us in making an identification. For 3 months, the hold-up men were able to hit where they wanted and when they wanted, and it seemed as if we were unable to stop them. All sources of information had been checked, but they netted us no new leads. 8:25 a.m., Frank and I drove over to see Rod Nealon. He worked in a small machine shop on South La Brea. He checked with the shop foreman and got permission to talk to us. He led us to a small lunch stand around the corner from the shop. We ordered a cup of coffee, and Rod told us why he'd called.
I got to reading the papers, read about these holdups, and figured maybe I could give you guys a hand.
We can use it, Rod.
You guys were pretty nice to me when I got picked up, so I figure I owe you a favor.
Well, what's the information you got, Ron?
Well, I was in the bar the other night. See, Friday night, place down on 3rd, having a beer.
Yeah.
Well, I sat there for a little bit, chewing up a storm with a bartender, and these 2 guys come in. Got a girl with them.
Uh-huh.
Well, the 3 of them go over to a booth, sit down, and order drinks. I didn't pay much attention to them. It's none of my business.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, when they put in their order, bartender and me got kind of laughing about it.
Why's that?
Well, the 2 guys ordered bourbon, but the girl ordered one of those weird mixed things, cream de mint and cream de cocoa and chopped up ice. Real weird. When I looked over at her, usually the only people who order things like that are young kids. I asked the bartender about it.
Yeah.
He said that's all the girl ever ordered. Said they came in all the time, steady customers.
Well, what makes you think they're the ones we're after, Rod?
Well, the way they looked and acted. Two fellas were loaded with money, had a roll that'd choke a horse. Right then, I didn't think much about it. Figured maybe they were just trying to impress the girl, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really think much about it then. On the way home, I stopped and picked up a morning paper. I read about the robberies. I noticed the descriptions you had on them. Fit the two guys in the bar to a T. Tall, redhead, short, dark fella. The big one even had that stutter.
You got any names on these two fellas?
No, I didn't hear anything. Not from them, anyway. I asked the bartender. He said the big one was called Chet and the little guy's named Vince. He didn't know much about them, just said they came in a lot and had a lot of money to spend.
Any idea where they live?
No, I don't think he knew.
How about a car? Did you see one?
No, like I said, I was there when they came in, and I left before they did. If I'd known what the bit was, I'd have stuck around and tried to get some more information for you. I didn't even figure it until I got home and saw the papers.
You heard anything around about the two men?
Not a thing. That's straight, too. I'm carrying a lunch bucket now. I got a job, and I keep my nose out of trouble. I had enough jail. I don't want any more of it.
Well, that's good to hear, Rod.
I learned. No more. Tough to learn it that way, but I guess there ain't no other. Now, sir, I'm clean. I'm going to stay that way. Like I said, though, you guys were nice to me. You gave me a break. I want to help you out. You know, sort of say thanks.
Yeah, Rod, and we appreciate it, too. You know that.
Listen, anything I can do, I'm with you, fella.
Where is this bar?
It's a place on 3rd called Tad's. It's a little joint.
Yeah, we know it.
Most of the guys come in are there for contact. You know, trying to set something up.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's just it, Rod.
What do you mean?
Well, I think that if Frank and I walk into the place, somebody will make us sure we're known there. We'll burn the place, lose the two men.
I guess so. Well, you want me to hang around there? Keep you posted? Let you know what the guys are doing?
Well, that's kind of up to you, Rod.
They found out I was playing footsie with you. They'd nail me sure. You know that.
Well, you know we'll give you all the help we can if you want to do it.
It's going to be a little expensive sitting in there. Can't just sit without ordering something, you know.
Yeah. Well, here's $10. That ought to keep you going for a while.
Yeah, it will for a while. What do you want me to find out?
Well, get an address if you can. Find out where these guys work, what they do for a living, if they own a car. Get the license number if you can. Who the girl is, where she lives. Just as much as you can, you know.
Okay, how'll I get back to you?
Well, we'll be around. You won't have to look far.
I hope not. Those two guys get onto me. I got big trouble, you know.
Well, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, Rod.
Well, I want to. You guys have helped me plenty of times. Maybe I can kind of pay you back this way. I know I don't have to do it, Joe. It was my idea. It's okay by me if you guys will stay close.
We will, Rod.
Well, let's put it this way. You guys just stay close by. I'm 37. I got 28 years to go.
Yeah.
I want to be around for that Social Security.
We got the description of the girl who'd been seen with the two suspects, then Frank and I drove back to the office. We checked the names Chet and Vince through the moniker files in R&I. We came up with several possibles, but they were eliminated. For the next 3 days, we kept in constant contact with Rod Nealon. He would report for work at 8 a.m., finish up at 5, and then after a dinner downtown, he'd spend the evening in the bar down on 3rd Street. During that time, he had no contact with the two men. They'd failed to make an appearance at the bar. The kickbacks from up north arrived, but we got no new leads from them. Saturday, September 10th, Frank and I met with Nealon for lunch. He told us that he hadn't seen the suspects since the night he told us about. He said that the bartender told him that they hadn't been in the place on 3rd Street. 3:16 p.m., Frank and I checked back into the office.
Well, that went no place.
I wonder where they are.
I don't know, Joe. Nothing around town on them. Maybe they decided they were running their luck a little close, huh?
Well, it could be, but they got no reason to quit. As far as they know, they're in the clear. There's nothing to scare them off.
No. You think Rod is playing ball with us?
Well, I don't know. There's no reason not to. He came to us. We didn't go to him.
Guess he learned his lesson. Takes a lot of nerve to do what he's doing. Glad to see he's playing it straight, though.
Yeah. You want to check the book?
Yeah.
Anything there?
Nothing. This call from Faye wants me to call her before I leave the office. There are a couple of teletypes here. Joe?
Yeah?
Here's our answer.
What?
Teletype from San Francisco. Jewelry store was heisted for $150,000.
Yeah?
2 men, one with a sawed-off shotgun.
We sent a teletype to San Francisco immediately, asking for full details on the holdup. The answer gave the M.O. that the two thieves had used and their descriptions. In every detail, the operation matched that of the 2 men we were looking for. We put in a call to Rod Nealon, but we found that he hadn't reported for work that day. Frank and I drove out to his apartment, but his landlady told us that she hadn't seen him since the day before. Frank and I checked the places where he ate and where he spent his time when he wasn't working. None of his friends had seen him. We spent the next 2 days looking for him. From a bartender on 7th, we heard that Rod had been in the place on Sunday the night before, and at that time he'd been pretty drunk. The bartender said that he appeared frightened and nervous. Monday, September 12th, 5:30 p.m. Frank and I checked into the office to sign out for the day.
I'll sign us out.
All right, I'll check the box. I got it. Robbery, Friday. Yeah. Well, where you been? We've been looking all over for you. We thought something had happened. What? When? Yeah. Well, take it easy, Rod. Yeah, we'll get to you. Yeah, what model? You got the license number? Just a minute. All right, go ahead. 2N3-9291. Yeah. Okay, yeah. We'll see you there. All right, be careful.
Rod?
Yeah. Says he's been trying to get a hold of us all day. Says he didn't want to leave his name. 2 suspects are back in town. Rod says they got a bankroll like Fort Knox, sporting a new car. He got the number. Better check it right away.
Where's he been?
Well, he said he was worried. He's been trying to stay out of sight. Said we better get the guys fast.
Yeah.
He thinks they're on to him. Our informant, Rod Nealon, told me on the phone that he'd been hiding for the last 2 days. He said that on the night the robbery suspects had gotten back into town, the bartender had let it drop to them that Rod had been asking questions. They'd started after him, and he'd been on a 2-day drunk trying to hide from them. He said that he'd tried to call us at the office several times, but he'd found that we weren't in. He was reluctant to leave his name or a message for fear that the 2 hoodlums might in some way find out about it. Frank drove over to his apartment, but found that he wasn't there. When I'd spoken to him on the phone, he told me that he'd wait there until we could pick him up. The landlady at his place hadn't seen him and told Frank that she didn't even know that Rod was in the building. While Frank was gone, I checked the license number of the car through our DMV. They called us back to tell me that the car was registered to a Miss Dolly Keene at 18924 Elmwood Drive, Hollywood. Frank got back to the office, and we drove out to see the girl. On the apartment register, she was listed as the tenant of apartment 406. We knocked at the door to the manager's apartment and waited.
Yes?
You the manager, ma'am?
Yes, something I can do for you?
We're police officers. We'd like to talk to you. Here's our identification.
I see. Friday.
Yes, ma'am. It's my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do,
How do you do? I'm Barbara Townsend. Would you like to come in and talk? Might be better in the hall.
Thank you very much, Miss Townsend.
It's Mrs. I'm a widow woman. Husband died 7 years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am.
It's all right, Mr. Friday. I'm used to being a widow now. Just sit down. We can have our talk.
Thank you.
Now then, what was it you want to talk about? Not something I've done, I hope.
No, Miss Townsend. It's about one of your tenants, a Miss Dolly Keene.
Oh, that one. Might have known it.
Why did you say that, ma'am?
Oh, just because. I always knew she was going to cause trouble here. I knew it. I told Sinbad about it. Told him a lot of times.
Sinbad? Give us a description of the man.
Tall man, over 6 feet, red hair. Had a kind of stutter. I never talked to him. I just heard him when they came in. My door's right near the front, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Does she have any other friends in the building, ma'am? Do you know?
Oh, no. Isn't anybody in the building likes her. Well, except that Mr. Newton on the 2nd floor. He's kind of flighty. Impressed with a pretty girl, you know. But she's not friendly with anybody.
Does she have any visitors? Anyone who came to see her?
Just her boyfriend, the red-headed one. And then there was the other one. I don't think he was a friend of hers, though.
What other one's that, ma'am?
He was a little man, dark. I think he was a friend of the boyfriend. Seemed that way to me.
Any of them drive a car, would you know?
Well, I don't know about the others, but Miss Keene just got one. Brand new. 1953. Don't know where she got the money for it, but by golly, she's got the car.
Uh-huh. She worked, ma'am?
I don't know. When she signed the lease, she told me that she was a designer for a clothing company out here. That's the fact. She's got mighty cushy hours. Seems to come and go whenever she pleases.
But when she get the new car, do you know?
It's a couple of days ago. She told me that she had to go out of town on some business. Wanted me to keep an eye on her apartment. She didn't have to tell me that. I'm the manager here. Of course I'm going to watch the place.
Yes, ma'am. About the car, please.
Oh, yeah. Well, she had it when she came back. Just drove up in it, smart as you please. Told me that she wanted a garage for it. Said she didn't want to leave it on the streets at night. I told her she'd just have to wait. We got 18 units here and only 10 garages. All of them are taken. I told her she'd just have to wait. She said she maybe leave it over at her sister's for a few days.
Her sister's?
Yeah, she has a sister in the neighborhood someplace.
Do you know where she lives?
No, I don't. Pretty sure it's someplace in the neighborhood, though.
Would you know her sister's name?
No. Sorry, I can't help you out there either. She's married. Don't know her married name. Miss Keene never mentioned
Well,
that.
how about mail, Miss Townsend? Miss Keene get much mail?
I couldn't tell you that. They got their own keys, they open their own mailboxes. I got no way of telling what they get.
I see.
Of course, I could see in through the little slots in the mailbox. She got a few letters. I couldn't tell you where they were from, though.
I see. She in now, would you know?
No. I mean, I don't think she's in. I haven't heard her. Usually she comes in laughing and carrying on, so I'd know if she was in. What's all this about, anyway? What's she done?
Well, we'd just like to talk to her, Mrs. Townsend.
Like that, is it?
Ma'am?
Got something secret to talk about.
No, ma'am, it's not that. It'd be better if we talked to her, that's all.
No. Well, I hope you get the chance to.
Beg pardon?
Well, last time I saw her, she talked about leaving town.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Chesterfield is best for you. Listen to this report. It's a report never before made about a cigarette. Smoked day after day by a group of people smoking from 10 to 40 cigarettes a day for a full year. Here's Chesterfield's record. A medical specialist, giving this group thorough examinations every 2 months for a full year, reports no adverse effects to their nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like that? You'll find Chesterfield's best for you. They're much milder, with an extraordinarily good taste. And for your pocketbook, Chesterfield is America's best cigarette buy.
In the company of the manager, Frank and I went through the girl's apartment. In the closets, we found clothing that indicated that she'd returned to the place. We called the office and told them that we were setting up a stakeout on the building. Frank and I went downstairs and parked the car up the street. Frank was in the front seat of the car. I stayed in the back. 8:30 p.m. There was still no sign of the girl. Frank called the office and found that our informant, Rod Nealon, was still missing. We waited. 9:30 p.m., 10, 11:30 p.m. A car answering the description of the girls pulled up in front of the apartment building.
Joe?
Yeah, I see him.
Car matches. Can you see the license?
No, not from here. 2 people in the car, a girl and a man.
Yeah.
Well, let's try it.
Right. I'll cover the other side, huh?
Right. Excuse me.
Yeah? Oh, what is it?
I'd like to see your identification, please.
Well, what for? I'm doing nothing.
Police officers like to see your ID.
I don't know what this is all about.
All right, mister, get out of the car.
I don't know what you guys are trying to prove with all this. Getting so a guy can't take his girl out anymore without cops rousing him.
Joe, looks like the other one in the car that just pulled up.
Yeah.
Finch, get out of here. It's the cops.
I'll get him, Joe.
All right, get your hands in back of it.
Lousy cops, you'll never get him.
Stand still.
You'll never get him. He's probably got your partner by now.
All right, get back in the car.
What's going on, Sheriff?
Lousy cops, they think they got us. Vince is a good shot.
All right. Give me those ignition keys, lady.
What for?
Give them to me.
All right.
Now, both of you, stay in the car.
Joe, the apartment house. Over here.
How about it?
He's up there on the second floor.
All right, come on, mister, give it up.
Get away from me, cop. Get away.
Throw that gun down here. Come on, throw that gun down.
What do you figure, Joe?
I don't know. Cover me. I'll go up.
Right. How about it?
I don't see him.
Stop it! Don't shoot! I give up! I give up! Don't shoot anymore, please!
All right, mister, throw that gun out here. Come on. Throw it out here.
All right. There it is. You got it. I'll give you a break. I got it, Joe.
right, come on. Put your hands against that wall.
I'm hurt. He shot me. Now leave me alone. I'm hurt. You see that?
I'll shake him. He's clean.
Call a doctor. Give me a doctor. I'll bleed to death. Don't give me a doctor.
You're not hurt that bad. Now, come on. Let's go.
I'll give you a hand. Come on.
Come on.
What's all the shooting about? Oh. Shot him, huh?
Yes, ma'am. I better call Georgia Street, Frank. Get the other ones in the car.
Yeah, I'll stay here with this one.
Frank?
What's the matter? Something wrong?
Yeah, I gotta get out of broadcast. They're gone. When the number 2 suspect had started firing at Frank, I handcuffed the first suspect and I went to Frank's aid. On returning to the car, we found that both suspects had escaped. The man was still handcuffed, so moving around would be difficult for him. A broadcast was gotten out to all units in the area on the 2 escaped suspects. The car they'd driven was still parked out in front of the apartment. An ambulance arrived and removed the wounded suspect to the county hospital. Before he was taken away, he gave us the names of his 2 accomplices, Chester Rayburn and Dolly Keene. We called the office and told them what had happened. Additional teams of men were sent out to help us canvass the area. Frank and I went through the personal effects of Dolly Keene. In a desk drawer, we found a telephone book, and one of the numbers in the book bore the name Sis. It gave a telephone number and an address 3 blocks from the apartment house. We got in touch with Captain Didion and informed him of the developments. Additional men from Metro Division were sent out to cover the address listed in the telephone book. Captain Didion also told us that our informant, Rod Nealon, had been found in a rooming house on 3rd Street where he'd been hiding since the 2 bandits had gotten back into town. He was placed in protective custody. Frank and I went over to the sister's apartment.
Yeah, what do you want?
Police officers. You Patricia Saxon?
Yeah, so what?
Want to look at your apartment.
What for? There's nothing here means anything to you.
Sister been here tonight?
No. Haven't seen her last couple of days.
Anyone here with you?
No.
We're going to have to look.
Yeah, maybe I don't want you to.
That's tough, lady. All right, let's shake it down, Frank.
Yeah.
There's no one here. Isn't anybody with me?
Closet in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Better stay away from there. He's got a shotgun.
Cover that side, Frank.
Yeah.
All right, Rayburn. Open the door slow and throw that gun out here. Rayburn, we'll tell you once more. We know you're in there. Now throw that gun out here.
He's not coming out, Joe.
All right, cop, here it is. I don't want no trouble, you hear? No trouble. You got the gun.
All right, come on. Get up, Rayburn, on your feet. You too, Miss Keene. Come on out of there.
Don't shoot. Please don't. We didn't mean nothing. Don't shoot. We give her...
Well, come on out of there. Keep your hands on your head there.
I'll get him.
Wasn't anything else I could do. Had to do what they tell me. Come in here with that gun and wanted something to cut those handcuffs off with. Had to do what they said.
Yeah, sure.
They'd have killed me if I didn't. I know it. They'd have killed me.
A couple of more minutes and we'd have had it made. Just a couple more minutes, that's all. That's all we needed. Though we got up north, he never got us. We'd have had it made.
One more big job. That's what you said. One more and we'd be through. Well, wise guy, where are we now?
Right where he said you'd be.
What?
You're through.
The story you've just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 18th, trial was held in Department 87, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Did you know that Chesterfield shows up year after year as first choice of young America? Now, that's based on a survey made in 274 colleges and universities. The reason is we're first with premium quality in both regular and king size. Chesterfield. It's a good, mild smoke with a wonderful taste.
Chester Lloyd Rayburn and Vincent Robert Parker were tried and found guilty on 9 counts of robbery in the first degree. They were sentenced to the state penitentiary for the term prescribed by law. Robbery in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment for a period of not less than 5 years. Lillian Keene, alias Dolly Keene, was tried and convicted of being an accessory. She received sentence as prescribed by law. Aiding a principal in a felony is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not more than 5 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the fight against an old enemy, polio, medical research has armed us with a powerful new weapon, gamma globulin. Used soon enough, It can prevent the paralyzing effects of polio. But first, you must furnish the raw material, blood. Doctors urgently need your donation of blood to make gamma globulin. So call the Red Cross. Please don't put it off. It's too important. Call the Red Cross tomorrow and make an appointment to give blood.
Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Peggy Weber, Peter Leeds. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield's. Either regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfield's much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Now, new Fatima has the tip for your lips. Fatima tips of perfect cork. King size for natural filtering. Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. So remember, new Fatima has the tip for your lips. Fatima. See how smooth they are.
Remember, Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names. Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield is best for you. First cigarette with premium quality in both regular and king size. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a robbery detail. Somewhere in your city, a man is endangering the lives of your fellow officers. His weapon, a 10-cent piece. Your job, get him.
Years ahead of them all.
Chesterfield is years ahead of them all.
The quality contrast between Chesterfield and other leading brands is a revealing story.
Recent chemical analyses give an index of good quality for the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. The index of good quality table, which is a ratio of high sugar to low nicotine, shows Chesterfield quality highest.
Chesterfield quality highest.
15% higher than its nearest competitor.
Chesterfield quality highest.
31% higher than the average of the 5 other leading brands.
Yes, Chesterfield is first, with premium quality in both regular and king size.
Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this? Chesterfield.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, May 6th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. We were on our way back from the drunk tank, and it was 8:34 a.m. when we got to the first floor, the interview room. Okay, you want to sit down, Harris?
Yeah. What a head. Either one you got an aspirin?
No, sorry.
How about a cigarette?
Yeah, here you go.
Here, I'll get that for you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Boy, what a head. I feel like I'll fall off and roll around on the floor.
Yeah.
Last time I got this tank was in the South Pacific. Natives brewed up some stuff. Tasted like torpedo juice. Took me 3 days to get over that. Hey, what am I in here for?
You don't remember?
No, not good. A lot of fog. Seems like the last thing I remember is a lot of sirens, fire engines, cops, a lot of noise. After that, there's a big nothing. What'd I do?
Well, he called the police department, told them the officer had been shot trying to stop a holdup. Then he called the fire department, told them the Times building was on fire.
You're kidding.
No, he's not.
Well, I really got it this time, haven't I?
Yes, sir, you got yourself a problem.
Why'd you do it?
Gee, I'm trying to think. Seems like the girl I was with made some remark about L.A. being a dull town. I told her she just didn't know the place. I think that's when I started calling. Hey, this in the morning papers?
I don't think so. Why?
I really got trouble if it is. You arrest the girl?
No.
Thanks for small favors.
What?
Either you married?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, he'll know what I mean. I don't think my wife would be crazy about who I was out with last night.
No?
Yeah. Wife thinks I was at a sales meeting. Hope she doesn't find out. Hey, where was I when you picked me up?
Well, according to the arrest report, you were in a phone booth trying to have the National Guard called out.
I gotta join something. This is the worst one I've ever pulled.
Where do you live, Harris?
Apartment over on 9th. Didn't they get that last night?
No. All you tell the arresting officers was your name.
I didn't give anybody any trouble, did I? I mean, I didn't start a fight, nothing like that, huh?
No. You didn't cause any trouble until they got you down here.
Down here? I didn't hit anybody, did I?
Well, you tried, but you didn't make it.
You guys are detectives, aren't you?
That's right.
How come they send you fellas down here? I caused that much trouble?
How long you been in town, Harris?
Since I got out of the service. Thinking about 6 years.
You said you were a salesman. Who do you work for?
Coddington and Michaels.
How long you been with them?
Since I got out, went to work for them right after I was discharged.
Ever been arrested before?
No. Oh, a couple of traffic tickets, nothing serious. Hey, what's all this about anyway? Well, you guys act you're trying to prove something more than just a drunk rap. What's the pitch?
Well, there's been some fellow around town who's been making calls like you made last night. He's been making a lot of them.
They've all been phony, but we got to send out equipment.
Well, you figure maybe it was me, huh?
Looked like it might have been. We have to check it out.
No, I guess I made the ones last night. You say I did, but that's it. Hey, you mind if I take another cigarette?
Yeah, here. Help yourself.
Thanks.
Here's a match.
Thanks. Thanks. No, I'm sorry. You guys got the wrong fellow.
No.
You can check me. You'll find out you got the wrong man.
Uh-huh.
How come this is so important? You must get a lot of phony calls. How come this is so big?
A lot of reasons make it that way.
Yeah? Don't see it myself. Lots of times I see fire engines go out in false alarms. Doesn't look like it does any harm.
Do you remember how many units were with you last night?
No. Must have been a lot of them.
Well, 15 police cars answered the officer's need help call before they could get a code 4 out on it.
There were 5 units of fire department equipment there.
I suppose that equipment had been needed someplace else on a real call.
Yeah. See what you mean.
It's not just the equipment being out of service. Every time a unit rolls on a call, there's the chance that somebody's going to get hurt. That's what you built last night.
Look, I said I was sorry. There's anything more I can tell you. Any chance of me getting an aspirin around here?
There's a doctor here. All he had to do was ask for it. We'll check on our way out.
All right, come on, Harris. You can go back now.
Yeah.
Now, just a minute. What's the name of the friend you were out with last night?
You're going to have to drag her into this?
We've got to check your story.
I hate to have you do that. The story will stand. It isn't that.
What is it, then?
I told you I was married.
Yeah.
This gets in the papers. I'm going to have a bigger headache.
Is that right?
Yeah, my wife won't understand about last night.
Yeah, that's too bad, Harris.
She just won't understand, that's all.
Well, how's that?
Well, she's president of the Neighborhood Temperance Club.
"9:30 a.m. James Harris was returned to his cell to be held to answer charges of violation of Section 4127A Municipal Code. Frank and I called the woman he'd said he was with the night before. She verified the story that he'd given us. Further investigation of Harris proved that he couldn't possibly have been the suspect we were looking for. We drove back to the office to talk with Captain Didion. For the past 3 weeks, both the police and fire departments had been getting a number of false calls, apparently from the same person. The officers on the complaint board told us that they had gotten so that they almost recognized the voice of the caller. They told us that it sounded like a male voice and the caller could be middle-aged. The person had no noticeable accent or speech peculiarities. They'd tried to hold the suspect on the phone when they were certain that it was the same caller, but they'd been unable to do so. Most of the calls the suspect put through were of the emergency type. As a result, we had to send men and equipment to the reported scene, even though we might think that the call was a false one. The calls averaged 6 a week during the period that the suspect had been operating. In cooperation with the members of the fire department, Frank and I were assigned to try to apprehend the person making the calls. The operation was simple. The individual would call the board, give an address that we couldn't check out, and then describe what had happened. The address given was usually a corner, so that it was impossible for us to make verifying phone calls. In each instance, as soon as the suspect would report the disturbance, he would hang up. The operation was simple and untraceable. 11:17 a.m. We finished talking with Captain Didion and left his office.
All right, Skipper. Check you later. Boy, he's in a great mood this morning, you know.
Do you blame him? The way this thing's going, we're no nearer to breaking it.
Yeah. Joe figures the guy who's doing this is going to be around to watch all the excitement. That's got to be the reason he's making the call, so he can get his kicks.
Yeah.
Well, he figures he's got to be in the crowd someplace.
So?
Well, let's try to get a hold of the newspaper pictures. Try to check them. Find one person who's at the scene. Might work.
Well, it's someplace to start, isn't it? It's a hot shot. I get it. Gonna have to wait. Bank robbery in progress. 11:26 a.m. We took the call car and started for the bank. Before we arrived, Control 1 put out a code 4 on the call. No further assistance needed. It was another false alarm. We completed our investigation, and on the way back to the office, we answered an ambulance follow-up call 2 blocks from the bank. A squad car had been on the way to answer the robbery call at the bank. It had been traveling north on Spring Street. An ambulance had been making an emergency trip to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. It had been traveling west on 7th Street. Both had been rolling code 3. Neither one of them heard the siren of the other unit. Neither of them knew of the other's presence. Both had hit the intersection at the same time. The police car, in an attempt to avoid the ambulance, had swerved. It had caromed off the side of the larger vehicle and then plowed through traffic and hit a traffic signal pole head-on. The car had hit the pole at the seam of the left front fender and the body. The police unit had been split wide open. The officer on the passenger side of the car had been thrown against the windshield. The other one had been thrown into the steering wheel and then out of the car onto the curb 10 feet from the wrecked unit. The ambulance, after being hit, had spun across the intersection on 2 wheels, hit the curbing, and tipped over. Only the fact that it had hit a streetlight pole had stopped it from going on through the pedestrian traffic on the sidewalk. It had come to rest laying on its side at the southeast corner of the intersection. The driver of the ambulance had been thrown clear of the truck. The patient in the rear and the attendant with him had been thrown about in the interior of the unit, and when we got there, they were lying in a mass of wreckage. The intersection was covered with gasoline and oil. A traffic officer was attempting to do what he could for the survivors.
Let us through here. Police officers, please
All
let us
right,
through.
sir, if you'll just step back there. I'm sorry. Keep back, please.
Friday and Smith, central robbery.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jake's in traffic.
They alive?
I don't know. Both unconscious. Pretty bad. I didn't want to move them.
How about an ambulance?
I put the call in right away.
Did you call in about this oil on the streets here?
No, I didn't yet.
Well, you better get a call in, don't you think? Have them warn all approaching units. Street slippery. Have them approach with caution, huh?
Right.
Thank you.
Sure is a mess, isn't it?
Doesn't look like they got much of a chance, does it?
How about that ambulance?
A couple of officers there now. Guess they're looking after him. Let's check the driver.
How about it, Joe?
Well, that ambulance better get here quick.
Yeah?
He isn't going to last long. The ambulance arrived, and the injured men were removed to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. The police garage sent out a wrecker, and the damaged vehicles were removed. The intersection was cleaned of the gasoline and oil, and inside of an hour and a half, the coroner was handling traffic as usual. The only indication of the wreck left on the scene was a broken hubcap lying in a puddle of dirty water in the gutter. 2 police officers had been seriously injured in the accident. Frank and I checked the immediate neighborhood for witnesses. We found a newspaper vendor who had a stand a block from the scene. He identified himself as George Kennedy. He told us what he knew of the wreck.
I saw the whole thing.
Yes, sir. If you tell us what you saw, please.
Well, my stand is just up the street there. So you can see it on the corner.
Uh-huh.
Well, I was checking stock. A lot of new magazines came in this morning. I was going through them. You know, marking them up, going through them.
Yes, sir.
I was just standing there fixing up the new magazines when all of a sudden I heard these sirens. Sounded like they're coming from all directions.
I see.
Then I saw that their ambulance coming down 7th Street. I stopped what I was doing to see where the ambulance was going, and I heard the crash. Terrible.
Did you see the accident, Kennedy?
Well, not at first, no. I saw it right after I heard the brakes. I didn't really see it at first, just after I heard the brakes. And then I looked up and saw what was happening, and I started to run down there.
Mm-hmm.
Saw the cars all smashed up. Right after that, I saw you guys come up, and then the other ambulance. And that's about all. Nothing more I can tell you, I guess. Anything I can do to help? Anything at all?
No, sir.
How about the officers in the car? Are they all right? I heard one of them was dead. Any truth in that?
No, sir. Both of them are in pretty bad shape.
Awful thing to happen. Biggest crash I ever saw. Just awful.
Uh-huh. Well, thanks, Kennedy, for your help.
Oh, it wasn't anything. Glad to do what I could. Anything else I can do, if you guys just let me know.
All right, Kennedy. Thanks very much.
Oh, not all. Glad to do it. Sure, terrible thing. No need for it. Such a waste.
Yes, sir.
If they die, it'll almost seem like they're murdered, won't it?
Yes, sir. From here, it looks that way. Frank and I drove back to the office. We checked with the doctor at the P&F ward at Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. The doctor told us that the injured officers were still in critical condition and as yet had not regained consciousness. We checked with the complaint board, and the officer who'd answered the call about the supposed bank robbery told us that he thought that the caller was the same suspect we were looking for. With Captain Didion and Captain Hagenbaugh in communications, we worked out a plan to attempt to apprehend the caller. The next time he put in a call, the officer answering the complaint would attempt to keep him on the line with questions regarding the complaint until we could get to the vicinity and start a search for him. We would be notified by a hotshot call immediately. 2 days passed without the caller making a move. On Saturday, May 8th, we got a call from Georgia Street Receiving Hospital.
Yeah, Doc. Uh-huh. Well, how about the families? They've been told yet? Uh-huh. Well, I imagine they're pretty happy about it, huh? Yeah, well, thanks for letting us know. Right, Doc. Bye.
Doc Hall?
Yeah. Both officers are going to be okay. They're doing what they can for him.
Hot shot. Well, maybe we can do something for him. Suspect's on the phone now. The caller had told the officer on the complaint board that he wanted to report an attempted robbery at the corner of 6th and Spring Streets. He said there was a shooting as the operator of the store involved had tried to stop the hold-up man. The man on the phone had requested police assistance and the dispatching of an ambulance to the scene. The officer so far had managed to keep the caller on the phone while he let us know of the call. Another officer had called the store and verified that there was no hold-up as reported. Frank and I left the office and proceeded to the area code 2. We felt that if the suspect heard the siren of a unit, it might alarm him and we'd lose him. We arrived at the corner 4 minutes after we'd gotten the hot shot. Frank took one side of the street and I took the other. We worked our way down 6th Street, spotting all of the stores with public telephones. It took us a little over 3 minutes to cover the street for 1 block east. We met back at the corner and started down Spring Street. As time went on, our chances of the suspect staying on the phone dwindled. 12 minutes had passed since the suspect had placed the call. I was covering the east side of Spring Street, and I was almost to the corner of 7th when I walked into a store to check the phone booth just inside the door. The voice was familiar. It was George Kennedy, the proprietor of the corner newsstand.
Sure, I can see you. No, my name don't matter. All that counts is you get an ambulance here right away. You don't, this poor man's going to bleed to death. Well, certainly, he's right here, right in the same room.
All right, come on out of there.
Hey, what's this all about?
Come on out of that phone booth.
What right you got to tell me what to do?
No, don't hang up that phone, Kennedy.
You got no business breaking into my phone call.
All right, you come out of that booth, will you, right now? Now, stand right there. Hello. Yeah. No, this is Friday. Yeah, we got him. Uh-huh. Yeah, well, as soon as I pick up Smith, we'll be right in. Hold it up, Kennedy. Stop that man. Hey, stop him. Hey, mister, what's the car?
You all right, mister?
Yeah, did you see where that old man went?
No. Sorry, mister. He ran in the crowd over there. I wasn't watching him. I thought sure you were going to get hit by that car.
Hey, Joe. What are you doing out in the middle of the street?
Well, I had him. It's George Kennedy, the guy with the newsstand.
You mean the guy we talked to the other day?
That's right.
Well, at least we know who we're after. That's a help.
Yeah, maybe. We got to get him fast now.
Yeah?
He knows we're after him. We went back to our unit and got out a broadcast on George Kennedy. After that, we checked the immediate neighborhood, but we were unable to find the suspect. We checked at his newsstand, but the people in the surrounding stores were unable to give us the exact address where he lived. We arranged for a stakeout on the newsstand, then we went back to the city hall and called the city clerk. We asked him to check the records for the license issued to Kennedy. The clerk's office told us they would check their files immediately and call us back. We ran the name George Kennedy through R&I, but he had no previous criminal record. We checked with Captain Didion while we waited for the call back from the city clerk's office. I got it. Robbery Friday. Yeah? Who? Wait a minute. Hello. That's all we need.
What is it?
That was Kennedy. Says he knows we want him, and he said we better forget all about it, that we'll never get him.
Yeah?
Says we might as well give up.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this?
The first choice of young America, according to a recent survey made in 274 colleges. Chesterfield.
The first cigarette with premium quality in both regular and king size. Chesterfield.
The cigarette with highest quality, proven by chemical analyses to have higher quality than the 5 other leading brands. Chesterfield.
And first, to give you this report. A doctor has been making thorough examinations of a group of Chesterfield smokers every 2 months for a full year. And he reports no adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield. Try Chesterfield. Buy a carton. Much milder Chesterfield is America's best cigarette buy.
A local broadcast was gotten out on Kennedy. The city clerk called back and gave us the home address listed on his application for a vendor's license. We checked out the address, a rooming house on 9th Street, and the landlady told us that Kennedy was not at home, that she hadn't seen him all day. She was able to give us the address of his sister, and after Frank and I arranged for a stakeout on the rooming house, we drove over to see the sister. She lived in a small frame house in the Hollywood area.
I suppose I knew that it had to happen. I guess there wasn't any way to avoid it.
Ma'am?
About George. He's sick. I guess you know that.
Yes, ma'am. Have you ever spent any time in an institution of any sort, would you know?
No. There were times when I thought about it. We used to talk, try to figure out what was the best thing. Somehow we just couldn't bring ourselves to do it, to commit him.
You say we, ma'am. Who do you mean?
Oh, me and Harold. Harold's my brother. He's the baby of the family. And what the doctor said, I guess, in a way, Harold's the cause of the whole thing. Way back, I mean.
Ma'am?
Well, I can't deny it. We talked to doctors about George, you know, psychologists.
Yes, ma'am.
He said that George had a compulsion complex. Came from when he was a little boy. That he resented the attention that the folks showed Harold. It's unfortunate. Harold was sickly when he was little, and he needed more attention. Guess George didn't understand.
Mm-hmm. You any idea where he might be now, ma'am?
No? You tried the place over on 9th? That's where he lives.
Yes, Miss Carroll, we checked the place. Landlady said she hadn't seen your brother all day.
Oh. Well, if he's not there, I don't know where he could be. No. I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Could you tell us if your brother had any close friends in the city, anyone he might go to?
None at all. I'm sorry I can't be of more help.
Well, do you have a recent picture of your brother, ma'am?
Well, yes, I think I can find one for you. Why do you want it?
Well, we needed to find him, Miss Carroll.
Oh. Well, I have one that was taken this year at George's birthday party. I took it with one of those cameras that develop right away, you know.
Yes, ma'am. What if you'd be kind enough to get it for us?
Surely, I think it's in the desk. I'll get it for you.
Thank you.
Oh, excuse me a minute.
Surely.
Hello? Oh, yes. What? Uh-huh, they're here now. I don't know what to think. Yes. Yes, I know, but it's too late for that now. The important thing is to find him before he does something more. Yeah. Well, I'll call you back. I don't want to keep the officers waiting. All right, bye. That was Harold. He heard about George.
Mm-hmm. It's possible your brother might go over to his place.
No, that's the last place he'd go.
What if you could give us his address, please?
Well, sure, I can give it to you. I know that George wouldn't go there, though.
Why are you so sure, ma'am?
I told you about the birthday party. Well, George and Harold were there, just a family sort of thing. At least it started out that way. The way it finished was awful. George and Harold got into a big fight. They were always arguing.
What if you get that picture for us now, Miss Carroll?
Oh, yes, right away. It's here someplace. Harold just said that we should have put George in an institution a long time ago. We should have had him helped. I guess he's right. I guess it's all my fault.
Why do you say that, ma'am?
Well, it was me that didn't want George committed. I was the one who fought against it. I was so sure that everything would work out all right. Oh, here it is.
Yes, ma'am.
That's George. He got a paper hat on. He's come out of one of those little snapper things. George liked things like that, kid things. I guess he never grew up.
Yes, ma'am.
Always lived in a dream world. Made it up himself. Thought that everybody was persecuting him, that people were after him. It's so silly it wasn't true.
I'm afraid it is, ma'am.
What?
We're after him. We got the address of George Kennedy's brother, and Frank and I drove over to talk to him. He told us that he didn't have the slightest idea where his brother might be. We called the office and arranged for a stakeout on homes of the sister and the brother in the event that Kennedy might try to contact them. 6:30 p.m., we met with Captain Didion and a psychiatrist from Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. Psychiatrist said that after hearing our report on Kennedy's actions, that he might have a strong compulsion complex. And as a result of events that morning, he could have a violent resentment of any type of authority. 2 days passed. We got more leads and we ran them down. They went no place. Tuesday, May 11th, 12:51 a.m. I get it. Robbery Friday. Yes, ma'am. Well, when was that? Yeah. All right, Miss Carroll, we'll take care of it. Yes, ma'am. Right away, thank you. Kennedy's sister says he just called her.
Yeah?
Said he was over by Westlake Park, that he was going to commit suicide. (1:02 a.m.) We called the complaint board and told them what had happened. They contacted all available units and asked them to proceed to Westlake Park, Code 2. Frank and I drove to the area. By the time we got there, several units had responded to the call. As yet, none of them had seen Kennedy. From the bridge on Wilshire, 2 men had been watching the lake, and up to the time we got there, they'd seen no activity on the surface of the water. 1:30 a.m., Frank and I started to go through the park. A heavy fog had risen from the lake, and visibility was dropping fast.
You see anything?
No. Now, let's head down toward the lake, huh?
Yeah.
This way.
Gee, it's getting cold. I should have worn a heavier coat.
Hold it a minute. See him?
Yeah. Just sitting there. Doesn't see us, though.
All right. You take him from that side. I'll go this way. Watch it, huh?
Right.
Who's there? Who is it? I know you're there. Who is it? I got a gun. Are you coming any closer now? I'm going to shoot. I can see you, you know. I can see you. You get away from here. You get away right now or I'm going to shoot. All right, I warned you.
Put that gun down, Kennedy.
Yeah, I knew you were there. I knew it. You thought you could sneak up on me and get me and I wouldn't know it, huh? That's what you thought, ain't it? Huh? Ain't it?
Nobody's trying to sneak up on you, Kennedy. Nobody's trying to hurt you.
Yeah, that's what you say, but I know different. I know. Who are you? Come on, I know anyway, so you might as well tell me. Who are you?
You know who I am, George. Joe Friday. I'm your friend. Now, you know that, don't you?
Ain't anybody that's my friend. Ain't anybody. Nobody I can trust. Why should I trust you? Come on, tell me. Why should I trust you? You're a cop, ain't you? Ain't you?
You know that, George. We met before. You know I'm your friend, too, don't you?
No, you ain't. You ain't my friend. You want to take me away and lock me up.
It's not true, George. I just want to talk to you. Just sit and talk, that's all.
You stay away from me. I'm not going to tell you again. I don't want you near me.
Now, take it easy, George.
No, you ain't going to get me. I'm going to get away from you. Away from all of you.
All right, wait a minute.
Yeah. I know all about you. I know you ain't going to get me. I can't swim. Somebody help me. Help.
All right, Kennedy, take it easy. All right, come on now. You're all right. You're all right. Come on. Come on, get up here. Now, you're all right.
Ain't anybody'd understand. Ain't anybody.
You okay, Joe?
Yeah.
I'll shake him. He's clean.
I couldn't even get a gun. Couldn't even get a gun. Never could do anything right. Just nothing never went right. Wasn't anybody that understood. Nobody that knew what I wanted. Nobody cared about me. Nobody cared.
You're wrong about that.
Huh?
We do.
The story you've just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On September 21st, trial was held in Department 97, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. I sure hope you were listening real close to what George Fenneman had to say tonight, because it proves what I always tell you. You can't beat the premium quality you get in Chesterfield, regular or king size. I'd like you to try Chesterfields. They're much milder, and they have a wonderful taste.
The case of George Hoyt Kennedy was referred to the city attorney. Due to the mental condition of the suspect, the case was then referred to the psychopathic detail at Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. After due process in Superior Court, the suspect was committed to a mental institution for treatment.
Ladies and gentlemen, we wish to thank the editors and readers of TV Radio Mirror magazine for their awards to Dragnet, and their 6th annual award issue now on sale at your newsstand.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Herb Ellis, Ralph Moody. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield's. Either regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfield much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Now, new Fatima has the tip for your lips. Fatima tips of perfect cork. King size for natural filtering. Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. So remember, new Fatima has the tip for your lips. Fatima. See how smooth they are.
Remember, Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.